Hey, and welcome back to another video. This is the fourth episode of the narrative, which takes place 3 years after the war with the Akatsuki, and Naruto is ready to gain a surprising new colleague to finally take the Chunnin examinations. Please support by liking and subscribing. Let's start the show. Naruto was already training with his 400 clones at the Hyuga training ground when Hiashi and Hanabi arrived. The lone Naruto under a tree reading a scroll looked up and greeted them. "Good morning, Lord Hyuga and Hanabi-chan," he said with a smile as he waved them over. "Good morning, Sage," Hiashi said as they walked up to him. "Morning, Naruto, where is Konohamaru? Shouldn't he be here?" she asked while looking around. "Not today, Hanabi-chan, he's out on a mission. He should be back in a few days," he stated. "Are you ready to get started?" Naruto said. "Yes, Naruto," she said, a bit shy with her father there. "I hope he has a way around the way he feeds me chakra. Naruto can't be so stupid as to do that in front of my father. I hope he isn't that stupid at least," she thought. She put up the cross tiger seal and shouted, "Shadow clone jutsu!" She created a near-perfect clone. "Okay, Hanabi-chan, you know the drill, try to take back your chakra," he said while going back over tree to read his scroll again. Hanabi started working on the clone and Hiashi went over to Naruto to talk to him. "How did you teach her that jutsu so fast?" he said, eyeing him critically for a moment. "I taught her the basics over the last 2 days. I haven't taught her anything else about it. I needed her to sign the contract first before I reveal its secrets. She is still far from mastering it," he said. "It is said that the Shadow Clone Jutsu uses up a lot of chakra and that normally you would only get a few tries per day before exhausting your chakra. Is Hanabi unusually gifted at this jutsu, or is there some trick to the way you have trained her?" Hiashi asked stiffly. Naruto gave him a strained smile. "There's a trick to it, and yes, you heard right about the faults of learning Shadow Clone Jutsu. It's rather simple really. When she runs out of chakra, I just fill her back up with my chakra. That way she can get months of training done in a day," he said proudly. Hiashi thought it all made sense now. "What jutsu do you use to refill her chakra?" he asked carefully. Naruto cringed and hoped Hiashi didn't know this jutsu before speaking. "The heartstring raw chakra transfer," he said as he cringed. "Is that safe for you, Naruto?" he asked him carefully while leaning in toward him. Naruto was relieved at his question and relaxed from his cringe. "It's safe all right. I have had to refill her chakra over 45 times in the past 2 days, but you can see the result for yourself. She can already make a clone," he said nervously while pointing his hands at her. Hayashi's eyes widened slightly at his words. Only Naruto would take a jutsu like that and use it for training. It's something only he can do with all his chakra and still be safe, but Kami 45 times in 2 days. Even I did not think he had that much chakra, he thought. "I think I will read up on your chakra transfer jutsu. One other thing, do you have to touch her chest when you do this jutsu? I am well aware where the heartstring chakra line is," he said coldly. Naruto got a bit nervous and said while waving his hand in front of himself defensively, No, I transfer the chakra into her back, not the front. It would be weird to do the transfer from the front for a girl." He blushed slightly at the thought of it. Hiashi looked at him for a long moment. "I will give you my blessing for her to learn this jutsu, but I am not sure about this chakra transfer method. I want to speak with Tsunade about any possible side effects," he said formally. "Gee, thanks a lot, Hiashi. I work my butt off training your heiress and you're going to throw me to the wolves for using my chakra transfer to speed up the process. Tsunade is going to be pissed at me. I'll have to keep that parachute on me again, so I can survive the fall and not be in the hospital for a week after she clobbers me," he lamented. Naruto sighed. "As you wish, Lord Hyuga. I'll get her to sign the contract after she dissipated that clone she's working on," he said. "I'll be off to talk to the Hokage. I will not have time after the meeting, so I need to get it done now," he said before leaving. Naruto was dreading the rest of the day now that Hayashi was about to tell Tsunade that he had been using that jutsu again. It took Hanabi 18 minutes to dissipate the clone. "Good, you're improving, Hanabi-chan. Your father has given his blessing for you to sign the contract," Naruto said, pulling out the scroll. "I heard him. He was worried about your chakra transfer jutsu though," she said, taking the scroll and opening it. "I take it this is a blood contract?" she asked while looking it over. "Yes, it is. You just need to put your handprint on it." Hanabi pulled out a kunai and cut the palm of the right hand, closing it into a fist a few times. She put her hand on the scroll just under the words, leaving her handprint on the paper. The scroll glowed slightly, then went back to its normal state. Naruto grabbed her cut hand and healed it. "Okay, let's refill your chakra and I'll explain all about this jutsu," he said, sitting down by tree. Hanabi went and sit down in front of him and let him refill her chakra. There are two main reasons this jutsu is forbidden. The main reason is if you summon too many clones you can easily kill yourself through chakra exhaustion. The other, I'll show you when you summon your next clone, and it's the reason you had to sign the contract. The Shadow Clone Jutsu can be a powerful training tool if used in the right hands. It's also very useful for information gathering. Your clone can use any jutsu you can use, but the disadvantage is if someone pops one of your clones you'll lose that chakra if you can't recover it. In time you'll be able to summon more than one clone hopefully, and you'll need to learn control of just how much chakra you can put into each one. You can do formation attack with your clones, and unlike a teammate where you need to converse in some way to set up the attack, your clones will know what to do," he said. Naruto went on for some time about how he had used his clones over the year and how to use them in battle. "Well, let's get back to training Hanabi," he said, patting her on the shoulder to let her know it was time to get up. Hanabi begrudgingly got up and prepared to summon a clone. Naruto summoned a single clone. "Okay, summon a clone, Hanabi-chan," he said. "Shadow Clone Jutsu," she said, summoning her clone. "Okay, now what?" she asked. "We wait here while our clones leave," he said, smiling. "Okay, follow me," the Naruto clone said to her clone and led her well out of earshot of the real Naruto and Hanabi. The Naruto clone said, "Okay, after training today I'll treat you to ice cream if you beat me at rock paper scissors." The Hanabi clone said, "At a place of my choosing?" The Naruto clone grumbled a bit and said, "Sure, I guess." 1, 2, 3, he said. Naruto had rock and Hanabi had paper. She smiled. "Looks like I win," she said. The Naruto clone laughed. "I guess you did, now release the jutsu." They both poofed into smoke. "Well, what happened between the clones?" he asked. Hanabi smiled. "You owe me some ice cream," she said with a smile as she turned toward him. "So now you know that whatever your clone learns, you will learn when you release jutsu," he said. "Why is that such forbidden knowledge?" she asked curiously. "Hanabi, look out over the training field and tell me why you think I have 400 clones training out there," he said, unimpressed that Hanabi didn't get it. Hanabi looked out over the field of all the Naruto clones doing different things. "So when you release them you get 400 days worth of training in one day?" she said in surprise. "Exactly, Hanabi-chan. Now you see why I guard this secret like I do. In the hands of someone learning this jutsu on their own, they would likely kill themselves. If they learned to use it this way, they could easily make Jonin-level ninjas in a short amount of time if they could find people with enough chakra for the jutsu, that is," he said. "So this is how you got so strong?" she questioned him, clearly rather shocked. Naruto laughed. "Well, it's one of the main reasons," he admitted. They trained until nearly 1 o'clock. "Okay, Hanabi, let's go get some lunch," he said. "Sure, how about we eat at my house today?" she said suggestively. "That's fine with me," he said casually. Naruto and Hanabi were seated at the Hyuga dining room table waiting for the servants to serve the food. "I wonder what we are having?" Naruto asked in anticipation. Hanabi rolled her eyes. "It seems our chef knows you well enough to know your favorite food. He is making ramen for you," she stated, obviously not in a good mood. Naruto smiled. "I guess that old man remembers me from the few times I came over for dinner with Hinata," Naruto stated. "Well, I hope you're happy. Now I get stuck eating ramen at my own house." Hanabi huffed with her arms crossed. The whole reason I suggested my house is so I wouldn't have to eat ramen. I didn't know he was in so good with Yakiha." Naruto gave her a thoughtful look through his smile. "You don't need to get mad, Hanabi-chan. I am treating you to ice cream after training today," he reminded her. "Oh yeah, I guess I can handle ramen then," she stated with something mischievous on her mind. "Why do I get the feeling I'm going to pay for this when I take her out to get ice cream?" He mentally cringed. Niji came into the dining room looking very tired and gave a big yawn at the door while stretching. He walked over to the opposite side of the dining table from where Hanabi and Naruto were sitting right next to each other with his shoulders slumped. He pulled out a chair and sat down, not really noticing anyone else was there. Naruto just stared at Niji. "Man, I've never seen him this wore out before," he thought. "Good evening, Niji. How was your mission with your Chunnin squad?" Hanabi asked politely. Niji laid his forehead on the table and said, "It was a nightmare. It was like babysitting 3 young female Narutos while trying to fight off bandits. Kokori has a huge crush on Naruto and never shuts up about him, which doesn't bother Chikaro and Donaku in the least because they are the same way. Why did I get 3 girls on my squad? Isn't this supposed to be Shikamaru's curse?" he said in defeat. Niji mumbled, "I hope Naruto gets married soon so they will give up on him." Naruto's eyes widened and he blinked a few times before saying, "Well, sorry to inform you, but I don't plan on getting married anytime soon, Niji." Niji's head snapped up off the table and looked at Naruto for a moment. Then he looked over at Hanabi, then to Naruto again. Hanabi is sitting right next to Naruto. There is no way she would forget her manners and do that. She's supposed to sit on the other sides of the table. Which could only mean they are dating. Well, that is a good move, political move for Naruto, and he would seriously boost our standing with the other clans. It's actually a pretty good match, he thought finally. The whole time Hanabi and Naruto was watching Niji. His face went from puzzled to shocked to a deep thinking look, then finally he nodded his head like he was agreeing with himself. Hanabi and Naruto were clueless as to what was going on in his head and just kept giving him a puzzled look. Niji bluntly spoke. "You two should get married soon and get me out of my hell." Naruto fell out of his chair from shock. Hanabi's eyes went wide and she just stared blankly at him. "Where the hell did that come from, Niji?" Naruto said, picking himself off the floor. "What makes you think that we are even dating?" Naruto screamed while pointing a quivering finger at him. Niji blinked a few times and flatly said, "She is sitting right next to you. In a noble family, a girl, least of all the heiress, only sits next to a male if there is not any other seats or if they are married or dating the male they are sitting next to. If you two aren't dating, she should be sitting right next to me," he said, pointing at the chair directly across from Naruto. Niji got a depressed look on his face. "So that means you two aren't dating?" he said and dropped his head back on the table with a loud thud. Hanabi was blushing. "Crap, I am getting way too used to being near Naruto. I'm starting to stay close to him without thinking of where I am. Good thing father didn't see that," Hanabi thought in dismay. "Man, you noble families have a bunch of weird rules." He confused look. "We are sitting next to each other because we are on the same team. She just joined Squad 7 to take the Chunnin exam with me," he said. Niji didn't even pick his head up and shook his head as he replied, "It's still not proper for a lady to sit next to you when there are open chairs on the other side of the table, teammate or not." 2 servants came into the room with several large bowls of ramen and placed them on the table with some bread and left quietly. Naruto smelled the ramen. Seems like he's getting closer to Ichiraku's ramen. Itadakimasu, he said, smiling, and started inhaling his food. Hanabi rolled her eyes at him and quietly picked up her chopsticks and ate. What's for lunch? I've been stuck eating nothing but crappy ramen for a week because of that Naruto fan club of a Chunnin squad, Niji said, dragging of one of the bowls to look inside it. Niji had 2 rivers of tears flowing down his desperate face and said, Ramen! Is there no God? After they had finished eating, they left the exhausted Chunnin sleeping on the dining room table. Hanabi stopped one of the servants and told that Niji was sleeping at the dining room table and to wake him up before Hayashi sees him. Then the 2 of them went back to training grounds and trained until it was almost 5 o'clock. Hanabi had managed to get her clone dissipating down to around 3 minutes. You're picking up on this rather quickly, Hanabi-chan, he said while smiling at her. Hanabi was covered in sweat. Thank you, Naruto, she said while she tried to catch her breath. Naruto started walking off to the back of the training ground and the exhausted Hanabi followed out of habit. Naruto stopped at the edge of a small river and started taking off his shoes. Hanabi sat down and then fell over backwards, resting on the ground for a moment, letting her eyes close. Hanabi had no idea what Naruto was doing until she heard a splash and some water drops hit her in the face. She opened her eyes and looked over to see the water moving around violently. Naruto's clothes were in a neat folded pile on the river bank. Hanabi blushed, looking out over the water. Oh, Kami, I don't think I was supposed to follow him. Or maybe he is expecting me to bathe with him. I am not ready for that, she thought nervously, but didn't take her eyes off the water. Naruto finally surfaced, shaking his head, throwing water everywhere. He was thigh deep in the water, wearing nothing but his white boxers with a frog pattern on them. Naruto looked over to see Hanabi with a blushing and slightly perverted look on her face fading away. Damn, he left his boxers on. What am I saying? I'm getting more and more like Hinata these days. When did I get so perverted? I didn't even try to avert my eyes, she thought. Naruto splashed her in the face with water to wake her up. I didn't know you wanted to join me, but come on, the water is nice and cool, he said with a smile. Hanabi averted her eyes down and said, I don't exactly wear a bathing suit under my clothes all the time, Naruto, she said shyly, and blushed. Naruto laughed. That never stopped Hinata, he said playfully. What? Did she swim with her clothes on? She asked, still looking at the ground. No, she did the opposite, he said casually. Hanabi blushed a very dark red and said, I am going back to the compound. Okay, Hanabi-chan, I'll be there in about 40 minutes to take you to get ice cream, he said in a teasing manner, all too aware how embarrassed he had made her. Hanabi took a long cold shower. She got dressed in an ankle-long loose, black ruffly skirt with a lace pattern on it, with a black blouse of the same pattern that was tight-fitting and low-cut down the front. She tied her hair up in a bun and put an ornate chopped stick through it to hold it in place. She put on a black pair of high heels that only had 2 crossing leather straps in the front of them and 1 U-shaped strap on the heel to keep them on her feet. She went down the hall and into a small study where she found Shizen sitting at her desk looking over some paperwork. Hello, Shizen, she said. Shizen looked up and said, Hello, Hanabi, what is it that you need and why are you dressed like that? She gave her a confused look while eyeing her. Is it okay if I go out with Naruto for a while? He said he wanted to treat me to ice cream for doing so well at training, she asked calmly. Shizen looked at her for a long moment. So you two are already at the ice cream date, she said in a teasing manner. No, it's just a reward, Shizen, but for him making me eat ramen for lunch, I plan on making it look like a date to get him back, she said evilly. Shizen smiled at her. Well, go get him then. I'll let your father know if he gets home before you do, and don't be too late. It doesn't take 2 hours to get ice cream, she said with a knowing look. Hanabi rolled her eyes at the comment. Thank you, Shizen, she said before heading to the entrance to the compound. Naruto waited for Hanabi at the entrance to the Hyuga compound for 5 minutes before Hanabi showed up. Are you ready to go? Hanabi-chan, why are you dressed like that? He asked with a confused look. Wow, she's really hot, what am I thinking? She's too young for me, still she is really beautiful. He thought. I'm going to make you pay for forcing me to eat ramen today. She gave him an evil grin. I knew that lunch was going to come back and haunt me. Oh well, it can't be that bad. I can just hedge myself to look like someone else so the rumors don't go crazy. And no hedging yourself to make you look different. She stated quickly. Ah crap! I'm caught. I hope she realized this is going to start rumors all over the place and give me hell. He thought in dismay. Hanabi, this will not go unnoticed by all those fangirls, it could put you in danger. He stated with concern. Nope, that is not going to work on me. I am the Hyuga heiress, there isn't any way they will mess with me. I am not some commoner that they can pull that crap with and get away with it. She stated confidently. Naruto mumbled to himself. I'm the so-called hero of the village and they didn't care. Naruto sighed defeated. I guess I'll have to leave a clone at the Hyuga compound for a while until the rumors die down. Hanabi smiled. I was thinking of going to Ramakarax for ice cream, but I've got to get you for Niji too. We of the Hyuga clan take care of our own. So we are going to Kike's couple's ice cream bar. She stated evilly. Oh my god, she is ruthless, that place is right in the middle of the highest traffic area of the village. It's a place only lovebirds go, really lovey-dovey lovebirds that want to be seen like they are showing off their date. To top it all off, it's expensive as hell too. This girl is a demon in disguise. He panicked. That's right, I'm going to make you wish you never saw ramen in your life, Naruto. She thought evilly. Naruto was walking painfully slow through the village with Hanabi holding onto his elbow for support. What? She said innocently. I can't walk in 3-inch heels very well. She stated with an evil grin. Naruto begged her. Can we make a compromise here? You walk normally and we can hold hands. You'll get the same effect. Hanabi blushed with embarrassment. Naruto, I honestly can't walk in heels very well. I need your arm so I don't fall forward. She confessed shyly. It took them 25 minutes to get to the busy intersection in the middle of the village and everyone was staring at them. One older man said. Looks like the Playboy Sage has got another one. An older woman near the man said. And it looks like he's robbing the cradle, so disgracefully the older man replied. I wouldn't go that far. That girl is quite the looker. Naruto was cringing with embarrassment and then what he was fearing the most looked like it was about to happen. Naruto saw a group of 6 of his fangirls up ahead in an area 2 blocks from the ice cream shop. He had no choice but to walk right by them. Naruto put on a fake strained smile like he was happy and proceeded forward. Oh Cammy, why did I have to wear my sage outfit? I stick out like a sore thumb. He mentally cursed himself. When they got within 30 feet of them, he heard them talking. Who the hell does that girl think she is dating Naruto without going through his fan club first? A tall and thin blonde-haired woman in her early 20s said. Another said. Yeah, I hear you. Let's find out her name. I've been itching to try out my rotten egg sticky stink bombs on anyone trying to get close to Naruto. A much uglier, short, fat woman in her 30s said. A redhead with a pretty face said. I wouldn't do that if I were you. You know Naruto is trying to become Hokage, right? That is the Hyuga heiress, not some branch house Hyuga. I don't know about you, but I'm not touching that girl. There was a cascade of groans where they all agreed they wouldn't want to incur the wrath of the Hyuga house either. The girls left to go sulk elsewhere. Hanabi had heard the whole thing and almost fell over getting up to the sage's ear. Naruto had to lean down, even with Hanabi in high heels she was still 3 inches shorter than him. I told you so. She lightly whispered into his ear in a deep, seductive and cheeky manner, and then she giggled, unable to keep a straight face. Wow, she was right, those were some of my most die-hard fangirls and they gave up right after they learned who she was. This might not be so bad after all. He thought. Naruto was actually in a good mood and didn't have to fake his smile. Hanabi almost fell 2 times in the next block they traveled. So Naruto hooked his arm under hers and pulled her in close so she wouldn't fall over. What the hell, the rumors are going to fly anyway. We might as well walk arm in arm so she doesn't fall down. This might be fun, like messing with Sakura. He thought. Hanabi laughed. You seem to have relaxed all of a sudden. You're making this look like a real date, Naruto. Truth be told, I'd pretend to date a toddler if it would get the fangirls to leave me alone. He smiled back at her as they stepped into Kike's ice cream bar. Hey! She said, offense. I am not that young. They entered the ice cream shop and waited for a hostess to be seated. Inside the shop was 10 small tables lined up in front of the windows and a long bar on the other side of the 20-foot wide shop. The whole place was about 60 feet long and the theme of the shop was red and white checkers. It was also fairly packed with people today. Soon a very pretty, cheerful, young blonde that looked to be about 17 in a red maid-like uniform came up to them. Hello, is it just one couple or two in your party? She asked cheerfully. Just one couple, he said calmly. At the sound of his voice, the whole shop turned to look at the couple and gave them a collective gasp of surprise. Naruto could hear many of the couples mumbling to each other for a few moments before most of them went back to their food. A few kept leering in shock though. Would you like a bar seat or a window seat? She asked with a smile. I'd like. Naruto started to say something, but Hanabi cut him off. Don't even think of wussing out on me now, she said sternly with a smile. Naruto sighed. Window seat, he said in defeat. The hostess smiled and said to Hanabi, You keep a tight grip on him, honey, and I'll try to keep the onlooker from staring too much. The hostess looked over at Naruto and said, Usual window seat, great sage? Might as well, Kanika, she going to milk this for all it's worth. He stated, not overly pleased. Kanika said, Ah, did you lose another bet, Naruto? She said while leading them over to an open window seat in the middle of the biggest window in the shop. Naruto replied with a knowing expression. No, this time it was rock, paper, scissors. He took a seat. Well, I know quite a few guys that would try to lose to her for a date like this, Kanika said and smiled at him as she set down 2 menus. I'll be back shortly for your order, she said and walked back behind the bar. She slapped the counter loudly to get a staring customer to turn back around with a start. Hanabi picked up the menu and started looking over it. Naruto went to pick up his. Don't even think about it, Naruto. You forced me to eat ramen and I'm going to pick out what we are eating, she said with a smile. Naruto pulled back his hand in defeat and sat there quietly. Man, she is bossy, but that might be a good thing here. Hopefully no other girls try to come up and hit on me. Some of them have no shame and will do it right in front of their dates, he thought. Kanika came back a short time later. What will you two are having? She asked with a notepad and pen in her hand. We would like the lover's strawberry banana split, please, Hanabi said. What 2 toppings would you like? She asked and Hanabi went back to looking at the toppings. I would like hot, Naruto cut her off. Hot fudge and brownie chunks, he stated knowingly. Kanika giggled and tried unsuccessfully to hide it with her hand that was holding a pen. What's so funny? Hanabi asked and was a bit annoyed at them knowing what she was going to order before she said it. Honey, that is the same 2 topping almost every girl orders their first time here. Trust me, you don't want those 2. You'll take 3 bites and be full. A good rule of thumb is to pick either 1 heavy topping or 2 light toppings if you want toppings at all, she said with a smile. Naruto smiled knowingly at Hanabi. Okay, Mr. Know-It-All Sage, you pick the toppings, she said in agitation as she tossed the menu in front of him. Naruto just looked over at Kanika and she picked up the menus and went back behind the bar. Hanabi was a bit confused and asked, What toppings did you order? Naruto laughed. None, she wouldn't even have them on the list, but the customers always asked for them. So she gave up and started serving them. The customers would eventually figure out that the ice cream was the star of the show here and not order them anymore. Just look around. You can tell the regulars because they will not have any toppings of the ice cream, he said with a smile. Hanabi looked around and saw most of the couples didn't have any toppings on their ice cream. She even found 2 couples that had the same 2 toppings as she was going to get. Just like Kanika said, it looked like they had taken a few bites and then left it to melt in the bowl. Kanika came back with a large 3-scoop banana split with strawberries on it. Enjoy you too, she said with a smile and went over to seat someone else. Hanabi picked up her spoon and eyed Naruto. You're going to eat with me like a normal couple. She gave him a firm, but playful look. Naruto picked up a spoon and tried the split with her. Naruto watched her eyes roll back into her head at the taste of it. Oh Kami, that's some of the best ice cream I've ever had. Is that normal vanilla? She asked. Naruto smiled, taking another bite, and said, Nope, she doesn't serve normal flavors, this is vanilla cream cheese. Aren't glad you didn't order topping to ruin the flavor now? Hanabi already had another spoonful in her mouth and nodded like a child, which made Naruto smile. Hanabi finally slowed down after an ice cream headache. You know, I thought you'd be a lot more embarrassed eating this girly food, Naruto, she said while eating. Naruto finished savoring his current bite of ice cream. Nope, doesn't bother me at all. Those other guys don't know what they are missing. I am more a ramen man, but having this every once in a while is nice too, he replied. How many times have to been here? She asked casually. Naruto said, Quite a few times. Ino loved this place. That was when Kanika grandmother ran it though. Ino? I thought she was the biggest diet freaking in town? Hanabi asked, unbelieving. Naruto laughed. Yup, why do you think she's always dieting? She's a grade A sweets-aholic. She'd live on the stuff if she could, he said. Hanabi snickered. I think I might follow her addiction, she stated, eating again. Naruto laughed. Well, don't get too hooked on this stuff. We don't want a pleasantly plump heiress. Your father would kill me for that, he jokingly said. Hey! Don't kill my sugar buzz. You should know to never tell a lady that kind of stuff when she's enjoying this kind of food, she said, both angry and playful. Okay, you win, I'll talk about something else, he said in a laughing manner, throwing his arms up in defeat. They nearly finished the split before an Umbu guard came up to their table. Sage, he said before Naruto cut him off. The Hokage wants to see me, and she's pissed. I know, he stated, rolling his eyes. The Umbu said, And Hanabi Hyuga. Naruto blinked a few times and repeated, And Hanabi? Hanabi was on cloud 9 with her sugar buzz, and she had the giggles. To most people she would seem drunk. Naruto sighed. This is probably not going to end well, he said, eyeing Hanabi with a cynical look. He left 2 large bills on the table and went over to help Hanabi out of her chair. Hanabi promptly almost fell down, but Naruto caught the giggling Hyuga. Naruto rolled his eyes. You're way too wiggly right now for me to use the yellow flash to get us here. It looks like I'll have to piggyback you all the way over to the tower. First, I'm taking those heels off you. I'm not walking 4 blocks with those things poking into me in the back, he said while he sat Hanabi back down and took off her high heels. He set them on the table and helped Hanabi onto his back, with the whole shop staring at him and Hanabi. Naruto and Hanabi was quite a sight to behold walking down the street toward the Hokage Tower. The beautiful and very giggly Hyuga heiress was lazily holding onto Naruto's neck with her legs wrapped around his waist and her bare feet poking out in front of him from under her skirt. Her long lacy black skirt was hanging down to Naruto's knees in the back, and she reeked of ice cream and cherry blossoms. Naruto was wearing a calm, peaceful look that was a bit strained. Naruto was holding onto Hanabi's left thigh so she didn't fall off his back, and he had her none too conservative black high heels in his right hand. They were only a block away from the tower before Hanabi spoke up from her giggles. Naruto, are you mad at me for what I made you do? She asked and then went back to giggling a bit more shyly. No, not really. It's been a while since I went out on a date. I had fun, but... he said in reserved defeat. But? She questioned, still quite out of it. I'm starting to think you're more trouble than you're worth. He said, eyeing one of the many people on the street that was just standing out in the street open-mouthed in shock. Why would you say that? She said, giggling. Well, call it a hunch from the way everyone is looking at us. He said casually. It took Naruto a good 15 minutes to get up the stairs to the Hokage Tower with Hanabi on his back. While he could have made it to the top in a few seconds, he didn't want to be wearing the ice cream Hanabi had just ate. So he took his time, and much to his dislike, more than a few of the council members' staff saw the couple. Naruto finally made it up to the Hokage's door, and he met the same Umbu guard that came to tell him to come see the Hokage. The guard's sweat dropped and said, Please, great sage, tell me you didn't walk all the way from Kikes to here on Main Street without hinging the both of you? Naruto sighed loudly. Hanabi giggled and said, Nope, I told him at the start of the date that he couldn't hinge us. Naruto never goes back on his word. She went into a giggle fit. This is the first time that I'm actually regretting my nindo, he said in defeat. The Umbu just opened the door to the Hokage's office to let them in. Inside, the Hokage was fuming mad, and Hayashi Hyuga was sitting in a chair at the far end of the room waiting quietly. Naruto walked into the office in all his awkward glory with the giggling Hanabi on his back. Naru, too? The Hokage yelled, but barely said the last part while her face went from mad to totally confused. Hayashi was so calm it was eerie. Naruto sighed. Please let me explain before you blow up at me, Tsunade, he begged. Tsunade did something that even Naruto didn't expect. She busted up laughing, a very rare thing for her to do. Hayashi blushed a bit. Hanabi started giggling loudly. Oh, Kami, Tsunade laughing is giving me a bad feeling, like she's just snapped and lost it, he lamented. Naruto took the giggling teen over to the ugly green sofa at the far end of the office and laid her down. She was so loopy that she was waving her hand in front of her face, laughing at it. Naruto quickly went back in front of the Hokage's desk. She's not drunk. Smell her breath, it was just ice cream. It's just a sugar buzz, he stated defensively with his open palms pointed at the laughing Hokage. Hayashi's eyes widened in shock before saying, Naruto, do you remember what I told you about what not to feed Hinata when you two were dating, right? He said sternly. Naruto thought for a moment. Yeah, you told me she has that hypohidrotic scald and to not feed her sweets because it would make it act like she was drunk, he stated. Then about a second later it clicked and he cringed, looking over at Hanabi. So she has that problem too? He asked, already knowing the answer. Hayashi was talking through gritted teeth. Well, I'd say it's pretty obvious now. You better not have done anything immoral to her. Naruto sighed. Well, if you're talking about sex, then you have nothing to worry about. If you're talking about carrying her piggyback style from Kike's ice cream couple's bar with the whole town in shock because she looked drunk, then I'm in trouble, he stated. And I've got 6 rolls of film on the whole 4 block of the Shockfest, Kakashi said from open window with a camera in one hand and a bag of film in the other. Tsunade finally stopped laughing enough to say, Kakashi, I've got a B-rank mission for you. You are to have those developed and on my desk in the morning, she said with an evil smile. Naruto twitched. Tsunade was all smiles when she looked at the very loopy Hanabi and asked, So tell me, how did you beat Naruto into doing this? Haha, I tricked him into taking me on a date and got him to promise not to hinge us for the whole thing. She started a giggling fit. Hayashi blinked a few times, absorbing that his daughter was to blame for this. Hanabi! Why in Kami's green earth would you do that to the sage? Did you suddenly forget your duties to the clan? He yelled at her. She giggled. I didn't forget at all. Naruto is always shocking me, but yesterday we played a prank on Sakura to make her think the contract for me to learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu was actually a marriage contract. Oh, you should have seen her face. She giggled and barely got out the next part. It was so funny to be on the shocker end of the joke instead of being the one shocked. She laughed hard. Hayashi was fuming mad with his daughter. How does that explain your actions, Hanabi? He nearly shouted. Well, that's easy. Hee hee, if I get to be Naruto's pretend girlfriend, then it will boost our clan's reputation. Besides, you can't complain that I'm with some weak shinobi if it's Naruto. It will also keep all those hopeless bimbos away from him. She giggled. He doesn't seem to like them very much, she stated before entering another loopy laughing fit. If I can sucker him into marrying me, I can sleep on his comfy white couch all I want. She began giggling again. I tricked the sage, I tricked the sage. She started singing to the tune of Nanny Nanny Boo Boo, and she started laughing again. Naruto and Hayashi looked like mirror images of each other, holding their heads in their hands for a long time before Hanabi laughed herself out. Naruto finally glanced over at him and said, Hayashi, did you know your daughter was such a trickster? Hayashi sighed, never taking his head out of his hands, and said, I had an idea, but this is a new low for her. Hanabi sniffed the armrest of the couch. Miss Hokage, you really should get a new couch. This one is ugly and it smells like mothballs and old people, she stated, and then laughed. Tsunade laughed. Well, it's the couch that is the second Hokage used to sleep on. He was famous for overworking himself and falling asleep on that couch, she said. Hanabi replied. The second Hokage smells funny, she said, nodding off. Hayashi, is it good for her to sleep with so much sugar in her system? Naruto asked. No, it isn't, he stated without thinking. Naruto grinned evilly and said, I think I've got just the jutsu for her. Naruto summoned a 5 feet tall vortex of wind. Say hello to the whirl and hurl, Hanabi, he said to the sleeping Hyuga while picking her up and spinning her like crazy with the jutsu, leading her into the bathroom. The Hokage's office was dead quiet save for the horrible heating noises coming from the bathroom. It was a good 10 minutes before Naruto emerged from the bathroom with a very sick-looking Hanabi. He had her arm over his neck and was steadying her with his other hand on her waist. He led her back over to the couch and sat her upright at one end of the sofa. Naruto sat down at the other end of the couch. Hanabi blinked a few times while swaying back and forth. I don't feel so good, she said before falling over into Naruto's lap. Naruto sighed, leaning his head back to look at the ceiling, and spoke to himself. Great, now what am I going to do? At least 15 of the council staff members saw me carrying her. I'm sorry for my daughter's behavior, Sage. We are going to have to find a solution to this problem soon. When word gets around of your date with her, the council will have a problem with it, Hayashi said. Naruto rolled his eyes. To say nothing of the whole town seeing me carrying a 15-year-old girl here when she obviously looked drunk, he stated sarcastically. Tsunade said, Well, I don't see any way around it, Naruto. One way or the other, you have got yourself a new girlfriend. Tsunade, that isn't what I wanted to hear. You're supposed to be the smart one. Please, tell me there is another way, he said as he shook his head back and forth. For Cammy's sake. I just got some of my close friends to believe me that I wasn't dating her. I don't want to have to go back and tell them that we are dating, he said in frustration. Naruto, I don't see any way around it either. If you don't do this, it will look bad on my clan and you, Hayashi stated, clearly not too thrilled with the idea. Naruto sighed. It's going to look bad on me regardless. I can just see what everyone will say. Village playboy robs cradle, he said sarcastically. Kakashi laughed from the window. Look at it this way, at least she will keep some of those girls away from you, Kakashi said. Naruto rolled his eyes. Tsunade spoke. You know, it's your own fault this happened. Yeah, I guess you're right. I should not have played rock paper scissors with her, Naruto said sourly. That's not it, Naruto. It's more than likely that you kept using the raw chakra transfer on her over and over. She has probably gotten used to having your chakra in her. In short, she's likely addicted to your chakra. This sometimes happens when a ninja repeatedly steals chakra from the same person. They will get very close to that person very quickly. There are even accounts where the chakra stealer could recall memories of the person they were stealing from. In your case, you just kept willingly feeding your chakra to her, but I believe the side effects are the same. Like her sticking to you like glue, she said while looking at Hanabi sleeping in his lap. That's one of the many reasons why I told you not to use it. She scolded him. Is she going to be okay? Naruto asked, a bit worried. I don't know, Naruto. We don't even have any accounts of someone stealing or giving their chakra more than one time in a day. You've been feeding her chakra constantly for the last 3 days. From the information we have, all the cases took a long time before the chakra stealer became an addict. Likely she just developed a crush on you at this point, which would explain her behavior tonight. That's why when Hayashi told me, I sent the Umbu to go get you before you basically made her fall head over heels in love with your chakra. I swear, Naruto, only you would take a forbidden jutsu like that and turn it into a training tool. You are more reckless than Guy and Kakashi combined with your students. She spat. Should I take her to the hospital? Naruto asked, clearly concerned. No, she's hypoglycemic. She doesn't have alcohol poisoning. She will be fine in the morning. Tsunade stated like she was tired of talking to him. Now take your new girlfriend home. Hayashi and I have to figure out what we are going to tell the council tomorrow when this whole thing blows up in our faces, she demanded while pointing at the door. Naruto sighed in defeat. How did this happen to me? He carefully removed Hanabi's head from his lap and shook her gently to wake her up. She stirred a bit and finally opened her eyes. Hanabi, please tell me you left that special kunai I gave you at home tonight? She was really out of it. She rolled over flat on her back and straightened her legs out on the couch. Then in front of Cammy and everyone she pulled up her skirt, revealing her lacy pink thong underwear to everyone in the room. She reached down on her left thigh and unhooked the kunai holster and sleepily handed it to Naruto. It's in here. You told me to keep it on me and I did. She then fell right back asleep without even bothering to cover herself back up. Kakashi's nose became a blood fountain and he promptly fell backwards out the window with a few dense thumps and a loud crash as he fell off the Hokage tower. Hayashi put his head back in his hands and the Hokage signed. Naruto only blinked a few times without moving and mindlessly said, Thanks, Hanabi-chan. He picked her up and slung her over his shoulder and reached down to pick up her high heels. Naruto wore a tired, defeated look and trudged out of the office with his new girlfriend. He got out of the office only to find Guy-sensei and Rock Lee waiting to see the Hokage next. Guy-sensei started freaking out, speaking like a squirrel on amphetamines again. Naruto didn't even look at him and just held out his free hand out to his side and blasted him with an air bullet jutsu that sent him flying off over the Hokage monument. Naruto's shoulders slumped and he proceeded to carry the sleeping Hanabi down the stairs. Lee had one finger up like he was going to speak, but did a double take of his flying sensei. Wow, that's some distance, he mumbled to himself. Naruto, Lee said, running up to him until he got a good look at the very depressed-looking ninja. Naruto? He said, concerned. Are you okay? You look pretty down. What's wrong? Well, just about everything. I got a new girlfriend for starters, and it's the very beautiful Hyuga heiress Hanabi, he said in sarcastic defeat, like he hated his life. Lee blinked a few times before saying, You don't sound too happy about it. I'm not. She tricked me into it, he stated flatly as he looked over at him. Lee thought for a moment. Who knew all it took to defeat the great Naruto was a pretty face? I shall go out and buy me a dress, high heels, and makeup and to challenge you to a duel, Lee said in his righteous voice with his fist shaking in front of him, obviously trying to cheer Naruto up. Naruto gave him an honest laugh. Thanks, Lee. I needed that after the day I've had, he said. Naruto, how did she trick you into being her boyfriend? He asked curiously. Well, as a reward, I told her I'd take her out to get ice cream for doing so well with her training. When I came to get her, she was all dolled up like it was a date. She told me she was going to get me back for making her eat ramen for lunch. She made me promise not to hinge us to look like other people, so it would start rumors and give me a hard time later as punishment. He stated, holding up her high heels in his left hand. She wore these and she could hardly walk in them. So I had to walk arm in arm with her just so she wouldn't fall over, making it look even more like a real date. We finally got to Kike's ice cream shop. He said before Lee cut in. She made you go there. That's the biggest lovey-dovey place in town. She is totally cruel. Lee stated while nodding his head in agreement. Tell me about it. Naruto said sarcastically. We had ice cream, but what I didn't know was that she was hypoglycemic. He said. Hypo what? He asked in confusion. Hypoglycemic, it's a medical condition where if the person's blood sugar get too low they faint, and if it gets too high they act like they are drunk. He said. We nearly finished a lover's banana split when an Umbu guard came to get us to see the Hokage. Seeing as how she had eaten a lot of sugar-packed ice cream, she seemed drunk as a skunk. She couldn't even stand. I had to carry her all the way to the Hokage's office with her giggling the whole way down Main Street. He said. That Hanabi is a downright evil person for doing that to you. Lee said, nodding his head. Speaking of which, if this is a whole misunderstanding, then why are we walking down Main Street, getting all these looks? He looked at a bunch of the same type of shocked faces Naruto has gotten on the way to the Hokage Tower. Don't you want to take a more discreet way back to her house? Lee said curiously. I'm getting to that. Naruto said. I finally made it there, and Tsunade, Hayashi and Kakashi basically all decided that the damage was done. Me and Hanabi had to at least pretend to be dating so it wouldn't ruin my reputation anymore, and so it wouldn't ruin the Hyuga clan's heiress reputation. Naruto stated. Oh, you're so lucky, Naruto. Lee said with his quivering fist in front of him and flames burning in his eyes. What? Haven't you been listening? Look what she did to what was left of my reputation. He stated in shock. Yeah, but you always get the cute ladies, and I'm 21 years old and I have never had a girlfriend. His shoulders slumped. You've already been with 3 of the most beautiful girls in the village. Now, another one just as pretty shows up and tricks you into being her boyfriend. Lee cried. If there wasn't political ramifications for our relationship, I'd just hand this little one right over to you. He stated. I don't think I'll ever find a girlfriend. He said, defeated. Naruto sighed and tried to think of a girl that would fit well with Lee. Well, it would have to be a ninja that trained a lot. She would need to have a big heart to see Lee for what he is and not a ninja with no ninjutsu or jinjutsu. So she would need to be perceptive and like his silly antics. Poor guy, I don't know anyone like that. Sorry, Lee. I thought about it and I don't know any woman that would fit well with you. You're just too unique. Naruto said empathetically as they entered the long winding road that lead to the Hyuga compound. I think I need to change myself, maybe then I could find a girlfriend. He stated, depressed. Lee, that is really the last thing you should do. If she can't accept you for who you are, then she isn't worthy of dating you. But maybe it is time for a new wardrobe and an eyebrow trim. He stated, putting his hand on his shoulder. You know, I only had one date while I was wearing that ugly orange outfit. Guess what? That outfit was actually a old road traffic uniform. I mean, come on, bright orange, so says Ninja Stealth. I can't believe I didn't know until Kakashi told me almost 4 years ago when I started wearing my sage uniform. He laughed. He thought I wore it just because I was the village's most unpredictable ninja. Honestly, I had no clue. I mean, it's got lots of pockets just like a normal ninja outfit. He stated. Lee laughed. Hey, Lee? Naruto said right outside the main gate to the Hyuga compound. Yes, Naruto? Lee replied. Thanks for walking me back here. I didn't get near as many bad looks with you with me because of your good reputation. He stated honestly. No problem, Naruto. Thank you for the advice. He said. Well, I'm going to warm up a bottle of milk and get a pacifier ready to put my new girlfriend to bed. I'll see you later, Lee. He said, waving goodbye with his free hand. Goodbye. Rock Lee said. The gate guard stopped Naruto. What happened to Hanabi? He asked, concerned. She ate too much ice cream. I'll go put her to bed or hand her off to Shizen. He stated. That's alright, Sage, I can take her from here. He said. Trust me, I need to talk to Shizen and you're going to have some extra help guarding the compound tonight. By tomorrow everyone will have heard about our date. He stated, none too thrilled. The guard gave him a puzzled look and said, As you wish, Sage. The butler Manaskai greeted Naruto at the door. Hello. He said in a drained, defeated manner. Can you lead me to Hanabi's room so I can put her to sleep, then I need to see Shizen? I need to talk to her. He said. The butler just stood there unmoving. Naruto got right up to his ear and yelled. Hello! The butler jumped and said. Right away, her room is on the 3rd floor. Follow me. Naruto followed the butler through the winding house until he got to a wooden door on the 3rd floor. It's right in here. He said, then unlocked the door and waving Naruto in. Naruto went inside the 20-foot square room and spotted a huge girly 4-post king-size bed. Naruto laid the sleeping Hyuga on the bed and started pouring healing chakra into her so she wouldn't be sore in the morning. Naruto tucked her in and said, Good night, you clever little demon. Who's little? The booming sinister voice of Kyubi entered his head. Naruto put his head in his hand and thought. No, not you, Ruby, just go back to whatever you were doing. Kyubi's voice fell silent once more. Naruto got up and stretched out his arm that Hanabi rode on and went out the door into the hall. I put her to bed. The Hokage said she will be fine in the morning. I need to talk with Shizen, if you would please lead me to her. He asked politely. The butler led him down 2 doors and knocked twice. Yes? He heard a woman's voice say. Sage Naruto is here to see you, Shizen. He said. Send him in, please. She replied. Naruto entered the small 10-feet square study where Shizen was sitting reading some papers at her desk. Good evening, Sage. What can I help you with? She asked. Naruto told her the whole story, but left out the parts that pertained to any of his forbidden jutsu. Ah, that kind of sweet, now you two are officially a couple. I can't say I'm surprised with the way she left the house dressed. She said with a knowing smile. Naruto mumbled. Is no one on my side here? Anyway, I'm going to go help guard the compound tonight. I don't need any of my fangirls coming to give the Hyuga clan trouble. He said and rolled his eyes. I think our guards are more than capable of keeping a few disgruntled girls out, Sage. She said. Still, I need to make sure. I'll only have 8 clones out guarding the main house. Naruto said with a yawn. Are you sure you don't want me to make you up a room to sleep in? She asked. No thanks. I'm fine. The real me would be at the gate if you need me for anything. He said. Naruto headed out of the mansion and made 8 clones. 4 clones took up their places the bottom corners of the house and the other 4 took up the same places on the 3rd floor of the roof. Naruto then headed for the gate. Hello again. He said to the Hyuga guard. Hello, Sage Naruto. He said. I'll be helping you out tonight. After my date with Hanabi tonight, all those fangirls that chase after me are likely to be put off. I just need to make sure none of them try anything. He said. Do you think they will try to do anything? He asked. Hell with the way today has been going, I'm just not taking any chances. He stated. Hanabi woke up and her stomach wasn't feeling too well. She didn't want to, but she got up and went to the bathroom and got sick. What the hell did I eat last night? I remember Naruto taking me out for ice cream. I think I ate too much of it, and from there I'm not sure if it was a dream or not. She thought. She got up and took a shower once her stomach calmed down. I feel a little better now. She thought. She crossed the room in the nude to her walk-in closet and got dressed. She looked over at her clock and it was only 7 a.m. I wish I could remember what happened last night. I hope I got him back for that ramen. she said out loud. She went out of her room and down the hall 2 doors into the study looking for Shizen. Shizen was at her desk with a cup of hot tea in her night cloths. She had apparently just woken up. "Morning, Shizen," Hanabi said. Shizen looked over at her. "Well, if it isn't the little sage trapper." "Good morning." Hanabi blinked a few times and she said, "Sage trapper? What do you mean? What happened?" "The last thing I remember clearly was us nearly finishing our ice cream. It gets hazy after that. I think I ate too much sugar," she said with a strained look. Shizen picked up a stack of pictures and handed it to her. "Kakashi took these pictures of your date with Naruto, look them over," she said, handing her the pictures. Hanabi went through the pictures and by the time she finished looking at all of them she was blushing. "Oh my, that wasn't a dream? I wanted to mess with Naruto, but nothing this extreme. My reputation is ruined and father is going to kill me. I take it Naruto is mad at me?" she asked, cringing. "He's probably too tired to be mad at you right now. He has been guarding the compound from his fangirls all night. He managed to stop all 3 that tried to enter and pull pranks on you. They are most likely spending a few days in jail. You should go talk to him though," she said, eyeing Hanabi with a smile. Hanabi quickly rushed out of the house and headed for the gate. She found a very sleepy-looking Naruto guarding the gate with the morning guard. "Am Naruto?" she asked shyly. He looked over at her and rubbed his eyes. "Morning," he said as he yawned. "I don't remember all of what happened last night. Are you mad at me?" she asked while cringing. "I'm not sure yet and I'm way too sleepy to think right now. Just be a good girlfriend and let's go back to my house so I can sleep. You can start your practice there today, seeing as how Hayashi is trying to save both our reputations by talking to the council this morning," he said as he sleepy started walking down the road. Hanabi caught up with the slow-moving sage and asked, "And did you say girlfriend?" "Yes, to save our reputations we are officially a couple, so I don't look like a playboy and you don't look like a loose woman," he stated, nearly falling asleep on his feet. "Oh Cammy, we are a couple? What did I do? How did that happen?" she asked, totally shocked. "Shizen showed you the pictures, right? Well, half the village saw you like that. We have to pretend to be a couple now because of that. Hayashi is going to talk to the council and try to calm them down. He is going to try to let them know our relationship is not a political move," he said. Naruto reached down and grabbed Hanabi's hand. She gave a slight start when he did this, but quietly walked him back to his house. They made it inside the house and Naruto walked to open the door of his bedroom. Naruto headed right to his bed and collapsed onto it face first. Within a few seconds he was fast asleep. Naruto woke up around 4 in the afternoon and yawned. Maybe it was all just a nightmare, he said to himself. He got up and went to the bathroom, then headed to the kitchen. Naruto made some instant ramen that he had hidden and ate. Naruto could feel Hanabi's chakra nearby in the direction of the living room. He sighed. So much for it being a dream, he thought. Hanabi came into the kitchen shortly thereafter. "Hello Naruto, are you feeling better?" Hanabi asked him with concern. "Yes, I feel much better. I just need to eat and I'll be back to 100%, he said. Hanabi waited quietly until Naruto was done eating. "Sage Naruto, I am so sorry for my behavior last night. I didn't mean to eat that much sugar, as you might have guessed I basically get drunk off of sugar," Hanabi said while bowing. Naruto sighed. "You mean you didn't actually plan on that whole getting drunk off of sugar thing?" he asked. "No, I only meant to have a few bites of it and stop. It was just so good that I didn't stop." "I'm sorry Naruto, please believe me. I wouldn't want to act like that in public," she stated honestly. "I believe you on the in public part, but I've seen your other side, you're a trickster," he stated. Hanabi sighed. "Yes, I have that side of me and I keep it in check most of the time," she said. Naruto kept eyeing her. Hanabi, this is important. I need to know exactly how you feel about me. He stated. Why is he asking me this? How can I tell him how much I'm fallen for him after 3 days? That I feel lonely in a crowded room when he's not around. That I've been dreaming about nothing but him for 3 nights straight. I can't tell him that. Hanabi, I need to know. He stated very seriously. I am like you, a lot. She said shyly. I don't like being away from you for long, and I feel unusually close to you after just 3 days. She stammered. Naruto sighed. It just like Tsunade said. Hanabi, I think you're addicted to my chakra. He stated bluntly. She blinked and then said in offense, what? The raw chakra transfer can in rare cases cause a false, feeling of love for the person that feeds you the chakra. It can also cause a strong desire to be close to that person. It can even give you some of the memories of that person if it is used too much over a period of time. He said. Hanabi was clearly getting upset. So you think I'm a chakra junkie now? How would you describe how you feel about me, like an obsession, like a crush, or even just as a friend? He asked calmly and intently. Hanabi took a few breaths to calm down. Like something I don't understand and want to know more about. It's more of a curious, like with hints of obsession of wanting to know more. She said honestly. Then let's conduct an experiment then. I'll slowly get closer and closer to you and you tell me when I'm in your personal space. He stated seriously. There is no need for that. As long as I'm wearing clothes, you're not in my personal space. She stated with her eyes closed and slightly ashamed. Do you feel that's normal for knowing someone only 3 days? He scolded her. No, if they were any other person, but you, Naruto. She clutched her elbows while looking at the ground and said, still unable to meet his gaze. Naruto stared at her. Naruto, I think I should explain something. She took a long breath and finally looked at him. When you're a noble, no one invades your personal space unless you are sparing or you invite them to. You were the first person to invade my space and you did it a lot. After a while I just came to trust you, to get used to you there, Naruto, especially after that seduction and lecture. I just knew that you weren't interested in me as the Hyuga heiress. You only saw me. You only saw Hanabi. You didn't care that I was a noble, to you I was just a human. You might not believe me, but in the noble's world that is a very, very rare thing. I haven't been to the academy, so I haven't had the chance to really make any friends my own age. My days before I turned 15 years old consisted taijutsu from 8 am to noon and study on everything you can imagine from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. I would eat and shower from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Only 1 hour a day during the week was mine, only one. I was allowed to read, practice as my jutsu, sit in the garden, talk to the people in the house, or go to sleep early. I wasn't even allowed to go out into the village without at least 2 Jonin-level Hyuga guards, and that very rarely happened. I was just too important to the clan's future to be set free to live like everyone else does. It has been like this since I was 8 years old when father named me the heiress over Hinata. She stated while Naruto listened quietly. On weekends father would take me with him when he handled political matters sometimes, and I was expected to sit there quietly and watch. I was expected to take living examples from watching him for hours on end, debate and haggle through all types of situations. Most of the time it was at the main house of our compound, so I didn't even get to leave the house. Only a few times a year during the seasonal festivals and the Chunnin exams could I leave the house, and only if father or later Niji accompanied me. This was my life as the heiress of the Hyuga clan. All the time I walked in a political minefield. I constantly got suitors after I became 12 years old that wanted to court me into marriage to put their own clan in better standings. Some of them were over 40 years old. Each time I was expected to go through this whole long ordeal of compatibility before I could reject them, just because of politics. It is lucky for me that the Hyuga clan is the most powerful clan in the village. Otherwise, a more powerful clan could practically demand marriage out of our clan. Father knows it's been hard on me being the heiress, so he decided I should at least be able to pick my suitor as long as he is the strongest of ninjas and father approves. Just over 2 weeks ago I turned 15 and father told me I would be getting put into a Chunnin squad soon. He started giving me the afternoons to myself and told me I could go anywhere that was on our lands. He wanted me to increase my non-political social skills so that I could make friends my own age. I ended up finding out that the legendary sage Naruto was using one of our training grounds. So I went to spy on you. I've already read all the books written about you. If I couldn't see you with my own eye, I would say all those stories are fairy tales. You weren't what I was expecting, all you did was train and teach Konohamaru. I kept expecting you to use some amazing jutsu like that spinning white and orange star jutsu depicted in a book I read. You never did, it was the same boring routine for 2 weeks. She stated. It wasn't until after we met 3 days ago that I got to meet the legend from the books I read formally and not as a dinner guest I was forbidden from speaking to. You seemed much more like the local talk about you than some great hero that I had read about in my books. At first I thought you were the brashest and rudest person I'd ever met. I too felt that the village had you nailed with the playboy rumors. After that first night when you told me of your 3 loves, I saw you in a whole new light. You weren't the playboy everyone made you out to be or the invincible hero the books made you out to be. You seem more like a person that had endured so much pain that just keep going no matter what. You seemed human to me and unlike anyone I'd ever meet or heard about. People said you were a playboy and yet you're really very tight-moraled. Books say you're an invincible hero and yet I watched you cry telling me how scared up inside you were inside. Hanabi smiled. You can level a mountain, yet you needed my help to take down the pictures in the master bedroom. How could I not want to be near you? You the first real friend I've made. I've been shackled to my duties since I was 8 years old. She said in frustration. Naruto could see that Hanabi really didn't have the life experiences to know whether she had a crush, like or even loved him. Naruto walked across the kitchen and wrapped his arms around Hanabi in a hug. I'm sorry, Hanabi. I didn't know what kind of life you led before I met you. My question was an unfair one to ask you. Naruto stated with Hanabi in his arms. Hanabi didn't speak for a few minutes. She just enjoyed being held by Naruto. Naruto said. Wind release Raisin Shuriken what? Hanabi asked. That's the name of my spinning star jutsu. He said. She finally asked. Naruto, are you still mad at me? Naruto looked at her like she was crazy. Of course not, but this is going to cause us a lot of trouble. He said. Hanabi rested her forehead in the center of his chest and sighed. Again, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. She stated honestly. Naruto squeezed her tightly and let her go. How about I take you to some of my favorite places around the village? He said. Hanabi gave him an almost fake laugh as she looked up at him. Do you really think that is such a good idea? Maybe father has patched things up enough so we don't have to pretend to date. Naruto gave her a cynical look. Do you realize what you looked like last night? Trust me, we are stuck as a couple for a while. Frankly, I'm surprised we didn't have to get married after the way you acted last night. He said with a teasing smile. She buried her head into his chest in embarrassment. Was I really that bad? She asked. Naruto looked down at the top of her head and poked her gently in the ribs to get her to look up at him. We looked like we were on our honeymoon. He stated. That is the nice way of putting it. I'm not so sure I want to go out into the village today if it was that bad. She said. That doesn't sound like someone that's been chained to the Hyuga mansion for most of her life. Besides, with me with you, there's no way your father could complain about you not being safe. He teased. That's true. She stated. So are you ready to go? He asked. As ready as I'll ever be. She said with a sigh. This might be nice, but I've got a feeling it's going to take a while for villagers to get used to the idea of us as a couple. She thought. Naruto and Hanabi walking into the village hand in hand. They were getting stared at a lot. The older people that knew who Hanabi was were staring in open-mouthed shock, while most of the younger ones either rolled their eyes or watched them for a moment then went back whatever it was that they were doing. Hanabi tugged on his sleeve. Naruto leaned down so she could whisper into his ear. Naruto, they're giving us some pretty strange looks. Are you sure this is a good idea? She whispered. Of course it is, we are supposed to be a couple. Besides, who cares what they think? If they bug you too much, we can step it up and make them faint. He hinted with a smile. Hanabi blushed and whispered. What were you planning on, taking me out for ice cream again? Naruto looked up and thought. That's an idea. He teased. Absolutely not. She hissed into his ear. Naruto laughed. Naruto led her to the entrance of a park at the other end of the village. Were you intentionally taking the most public way here? She questioned. Oh, so you noticed that? He stated coyly. It was hard to miss. Why did you do that? Just because we are a couple doesn't mean everyone needs to know today. She said. It is better to answer all those flying rumors from last night as soon as possible. If everyone sees us like we are now, then it's obvious we are a couple and our incident from last night will look like young love. Not raging hormones, like everyone seems to think. He said. Hanabi grinned knowingly. I think you were just showing me off as your girlfriend to the whole village. She teased. Naruto shrugged at her and then started leading her into the park saying. That too. Hanabi blushed. Erg, I hate that I can't tell when he's joking or not. She thought. Naruto led her through a wooded area with a dark orange brick walkway that curved back and forth for seemingly for reason. He led her for close to 5 minutes along the walkway. Sometimes the forest was so thick that the canopy of limbs overhead made it look like a dark tree tunnel. When they came out of a particularly long one of these tree tunnels, Naruto stopped. This is it, he stated. There was a 1-acre shallow pond with cattails and lily pads in it. A large 4 feet long stone in front of them looked like someone had cut the top of it at about 2 feet high that was right next to the shore. The top of the stone was nowhere to be seen though. Come on Hanabi, this place is way better than my fish tank at home. He said, leading her by the hand over to the cut stone and sat her down. Naruto reached into his pack and pulled out some kind of bread loaf. He reached his hand down into the water and splashed his hand back and forth. Give them a minute, he said. At first nothing happened. Then a 15-inch long butterfly koi fish was swimming in front of them. Within a minute there were so many koi and goldfish in front of them that they could no longer see the bottom of the pond. Naruto broke the loaf of bread in half and gave half of it to Hanabi. Naruto started pulling small pieces of the bread up and tossing it into the water where the fish would all dart over to trying to beat everyone else there to get the bread. This is a place I like to come to every now and then. I can't say it's my special place, it's actually Choji's. He showed it to me a few years ago and told me that no one ever takes the fish out of here because they aren't good to eat. I've actually spoiled one of the goldfish in here, he said, then laughed. Hanabi smiled at him while tossing more bread into the water before asking, How do you spoil a fish? That isn't something I've heard of before. Naruto chuckled. I'll show you later, for now let's just enjoy these guys, Naruto said. They sat there quietly feeding the fish until they both were out of bread. Hey Hanabi, what does your name mean? He asked, seemingly out of nowhere, breaking the silence. Hanabi sighed. It means fireworks, she stated sourly. Naruto gave her a puzzled look. You don't like your name? No, I don't. Why would I? I am named after something erases into the sky and explodes only to never been seen again, she said. Well, that's not how I see it. I always thought fireworks were something rare and beautiful that you only got to see on special occasions. Something that made you want to share them with someone else. Something that brought people closer together and made them remember a special moment, he said. Hanabi couldn't stop smiling at him. I guess I like my name a bit better now. Thank you, Naruto, she said shyly. What does your name mean? I know there is a dish named Naruto, is that all there is to it? She asked. Naruto can mean maelstrom, and is also the name for a sliced stick of kamaboko with a pink whirlpool design in the middle that is used as a topping for ramen. Uzumaki means, well, it means this. He summoned a 3 feet high whirlwind. So it means whirlwind? She asked. Or whirlpool, what's the word I'm looking for? Vortex, that is what it means. He stated. Hanabi gave him a puzzled look before asking. What kind of last name is that? I know that many last names refer to what their family does, but I've never heard of a job that has anything to do with a vortex. My mother was from a clan in the former Whirlpool country. It was a noble clan well known for their uses of wind and water jutsu. That's about all I know of her clan. The country was taken over and she was likely a refugee that came to the land of fire. He said without really thinking. So who was your father? She asked curiously. Naruto sighed. Against my better judgment, I will tell you later tonight, but for now let's enjoy the fireflies. Hanabi looked out over the pond and there was hundreds of fireflies flashing green light in a totally random pattern. Pretty, isn't it? He asked her. Hanabi leaned her head over on his shoulder and said, Yes, it is. They sat there in silence for a long time, each of them just enjoying watching the fireflies and each other company. Hanabi, we need to go before it's pitch black out here, he stated. She groaned. It's so pretty out here though, she said. Hanabi, he retorted. She sighed. Okay then, let's go, she said, getting up. Naruto looked around. Within a few minutes it's going to be dark out. We aren't going to make it, he said. Naruto looked over at her and smiled before saying, I hope you don't mind another pervert snuggle? I thought you'd never ask, she said, smiling, and moved over to lean her back on his chest. Naruto wrapped his arms around her and drew a kunai, and then they were gone. Hanabi was in awe. She was looking down at the whole village. Just as the lights lit up the streets. This is one of my other favorite places to be. It's on top of a depiction of my father's head, he said. Hanabi took a moment to make sure her feet were stable on the spiky hair of the monument. Hanabi smiled, never looking down to see which of the Hokage's heads they were standing on. I had a feeling you were the 4th Hokage's son, Naruto. It all makes sense. Your looks, your jutsu, and even your attitude, she said, holding his hands around her so he didn't remove them. Those hands aren't going anywhere, you know, he stated while pulling her closer to him. Hanabi smiled. I was just making sure. It is a long way down, she said, looking over the edge. They stayed there for almost 15 minutes before Naruto heard her stomach growling. Naruto looked over at her and laughed while Hanabi got a shy look on her face. Hanabi, I think it's time to get you some food before your stomach gets any louder, he said into her ear. She groaned and leaned back into him. I don't want to go home. I've spent way too much time there anyway, she stated, his displeasure. Naruto laughed and said, I was thinking of a restaurant for tonight, seeing as how I was too tired to make a clone to go fishing. Let's go see Tsunade. Maybe she's done with her work for the day and wants to get something to eat with us, he said with a knowing smile. Hanabi glanced over her shoulder and asked, Do you normally just go up to the Hokage and ask her to dinner like that? Naruto stated, Well, yeah. We normally eat together a few times a week. If I don't come rescue her from her paperwork every once in a while, I think she'd go insane. She complains most of the time that she has too much work to go out to eat with me, but she always gives in. Besides, we need to find out if her and your father smooth things over with the council, he said. Hanabi grinned. I think you're just showing me off again, she stated with a smile. Hey! You got to admit it's fun shocking the whole village like this, he said while smiling. Hanabi laughed. Maybe it is, just a little bit. So how close to the Hokage's office can you blink us? She said slightly flirtatiously. I can probably land us in her lap, but she would not be happy about it. The safest route is about a block from the Hokage Tower, he said while smiling. Naruto pulled out a kunai and they vanished. In less than 5 minutes Naruto and Hanabi were at the door to the Hokage's office. Naruto greeted the guard and after a few more minutes they were allowed to go inside. "Hello Tsunade-chan," he said. The Hokage sighed from behind her mountain of paperwork. "What do you want, Naruto?" "I've got enough work right now without you bothering me, and your little escapade last night made the council meeting run late, so I'm even farther behind," she stated, slightly annoyed. "Did you have lunch today?" Naruto asked her. The Hokage put her head in her hands. "That is not the point, Naruto. I'm behind on my work and I have to get it done," she said. "Well, that's even more of a reason to come have dinner with us." "You'll never get it done if you pass out because you're not eating," he said. She took her head out of her hands and glared at him. "Then I'll just get an assistant to bring something up later," she snapped at him. "Are you really going to make me drag you out of this stuffy office?" he retorted, planting both of his hands on her desk and getting inches from her face. "Get out of my office," she yelled and threw her teacup at him. Naruto grabbed Hanabi into a running hug and darted out of the office before more things came flying out at them. Hanabi was stunned. She blinked a few times before saying, "I thought you said that she always gives in and comes to eat with you." "She does, just wait a few minutes you'll see," he said causally while staring at the door. Are you really going to try to drag her if she doesn't come?" she asked awkwardly. Naruto looked over at Hanabi for a second, then busted up laughing. Tsunade came out of the office door while Naruto was still laughing. "What's so funny, Wart Sage?" she stated curiously. "Hanabi-chan thought I was serious about physically dragging you across town to come have dinner with us," he said while still laughing. Tsunade laughed for a minute before saying to Hanabi, "He's actually already tried that one time." They started walking down the long staircase. Hanabi curiously asked, "What happened? Did you nearly kill him?" Naruto laughed again. "No, we didn't come to blows. It was me and 10,000 of my clones versus her and one of her earth jutsus," he said. "Well, who won?" she asked the Hokage. Tsunade just looked over at Naruto and smiled, and Hanabi looked back over at Naruto for an answer. Naruto rolled his eyes at the Hokage, still wearing a smile. "I guess if you'd say physically dragging her across the town to have lunch with me that day is a win, then I lost. She used some weird earth jutsu to make her stick to the ground. Even with all my clones in a tug-of-war line and her willingly holding my hand, we still couldn't move her. I tried for almost an hour and some of my clones were already popping from exhaustion," he said, smiling at the Hokage, her smiling back. Hanabi looked from Naruto to the Hokage, smiling at each other. "Why do I get the feeling I'm not getting the entire story here?" she asked. Naruto looked back over to her and said, "Because I feel like I won." She was smiling and having a good time watching me fail. "This is when Kakashi snapped that picture on my nightstand, by the way. So I dissipated all my clones while I was lying at her feet panting. She asked me if I was ready to give up yet, and I told her that I don't go back on my word and I'll try all night if I have to," he stated. He looked back over to Tsunade and she nodded her head. Hanabi caught this, but did not ask what the silent question was. "I decided to try to get her to break the jutsu by breaking her concentration instead of trying to breaking it physically. I grabbed her hand, making her think I was just using it to help myself up, but I came up quickly and gave her a full-blown kiss right on the lips," he said. Hanabi stood there in open mouth, shocked, while Naruto and Tsunade waited for her to recover before walking farther down the street. You kissed the Hokage like that? Like a lover?" she stammered. "Hey, it worked!" She fell right on her, but with me on top of her. She was about to kill me before I said Happy Mother's Day and pulled out that bracelet she's wearing," he said, all the while smiling. Tsunade held up her left wrist and jingled it back and forth at Hanabi. On it was a simple loose-fitting gold chain bracelet with a teardrop pearl on it. I had heard that pearls were great for storing healing chakra. That's why I picked that bracelet, but it turns out that's just a myth, as she later told me over lunch. He said. I can't believe she didn't kill you for that. Hanabi said is disbelief. Naruto got a very strained look on his face before saying. She did break 4 of my ribs in the bear hug she gave me after giving her that bracelet. I only broke 1 of them, the other 3 were only fractured, and I healed you right afterwards. Tsunade said like he was being a sissy. Naruto laughed. So where are we going to eat at? Naruto asked Tsunade. Tsunade smiled at him and he rolled his eyes knowing the answer. Naruto and Tsunade said it at the same time. Taki's Seafood and Bar. I had heard that pearls were great for storing healing chakra. That's why I picked that bracelet, but it turns out that's just a myth, as she later told me over lunch. He said. I can't believe she didn't kill you for that. Hanabi said. Naruto got a very strained look on his face before saying. She did break 4 of my ribs in the bear hug she gave me after giving her that bracelet. I only broke 1 of them, the other 3 were only fractured, and I healed you right afterwards. Tsunade said like he was being a sissy. Naruto laughed. So where are we going to eat at? Naruto asked Tsunade. Tsunade smiled at him and he rolled his eyes knowing the answer. Naruto and Tsunade said it at the same time. Taki's Seafood and Bar. Chapter 10, A Lesson on the 4th Hokage. Naruto's shoulder slumped. What wrong? Is the food bad there? Hanabi asked. No, it's not that. The food is pretty good there. I've just been there so many times that I've gotten sick of it, and lucky for me they don't serve ice cream. Naruto eyed Hanabi. Hanabi showed him an embarrassed and playful smile. Tsunade-chan likes it because it serves one of her favorite types of sake. He stated. Don't complain, Naruto. You're the one that dragged me away from the office to come eat with you. She said with a sideways glance at him as they walked. Oh yeah, I'm really twisting your arm here. He said sarcastically, and then they both laughed. I should warn you before we get there that even though it's a rather nice restaurant, it's near the docks and a lot of rough and tumble sea dogs type of people go there. He stated. Not to worry, Hanabi, with me there no one will start any trouble. She said. Definitely not, especially after that fight with Red Scar you had 2 years ago. Naruto said. Red Scar? She asked. Yeah, he's a ship captain. The guy is huge, his bicep is as big as my chest. He got a bit too drunk one night and started picking on one of the waitresses while Tsunade was there. Tsunade intervened and told the guy none too nicely to leave. Problem was Red Scar wasn't from our country or anywhere near here, and he had no idea Tsunade was the Hokage. He told her to make him and even offered her the first shot, big mistake for him. Tsunade hit him and he went flying 40 feet across the room, out the door and into the street. Turns out he's actually a really nice guy and never drinks. He has recently lost his first mate and was drinking to forget. He later apologized to her for his behavior and explained himself. Now Tsunade is quite famous with most of the sailors that come up the river to sell their goods. He said. They arrived at the large establishment a few minutes later. Hanabi thought it looked slightly out of place as most of the buildings looked kind of run down. This one was recently painted white and looked much newer. One of the things that looked out of place was there was 2 entrances not 20 feet apart. They entered the right entrance. There was no hostess here, they just walked up to an empty table and sat down. Hanabi thought it was the weirdest setup for a restaurant she had ever seen. They were sitting in a 50-feet square room that had 10 tables in it and a small bar 15 feet long with a formally dressed bartender. There was only a small wooden railing separating it from the much bigger 80-feet-long L-shaped bar in the other room. The giant bar area was packed with sailors just like Naruto told her. Most of them were sitting at bar stools at the bar, but some were playing kunai-throwing games on the far wall. Hanabi took note of the sign stating that ninjas were not allowed to gamble at the kunai-throwing games with sailors. The bar side was rowdy and loud, and it totally ruined the atmosphere of the dining side. Why would anyone set up a restaurant like this? It makes no sense at all. she asked while everyone took a seat at a table. Tsunade said, "This place isn't really for civilians, Hanabi. It's strictly for sailors. The bar side over there is for a ship's crewmates to unwind after a long voyage. This side is the officers' lounge. It's where the captains and officers of the ships come to eat and drink." She said, "I don't see why the officers would want to eat in such a noisy area if they have money to go elsewhere," she stated. Hanabi being a sailor is a lot like joining an army of a country. They have ranks and are organized so other sailors can tell who is who at a glance, from the lowest rank of cabin boy to the highest rank of fleet commander. Being a sailor isn't the safest line of work. It is a dangerous job and they depend on each other with their lives out at sea. They have very close bonds with each other, not unlike our ninja squads have, but then again they do tend to get on each other's nerves with them being cooped up on a ship all the time with the same people. It is inevitable that they will fight with each other. This place is set up so that the officers can keep an eye out on their crew while still enjoying the food and drink of their station. Tsunade said, "Why would this be your favorite place to eat?" Hanabi asked. Tsunade smiled. "If you want to know about the finest liquors, then ask a sea captain. They travel all over and tend to know what drink comes from where and which is their favorite, sometimes even how it's made. As such, the officers' lounge is a place to find the rarest types of fine liquors if you are looking for them. Sea captains will always go to the bar with the best selection of liquors," she said knowingly. Hanabi obviously wasn't comfortable in this environment. Naruto leaned over to talk quietly with Hanabi. "No one is going to bother you. Trust me, no one even talks to anyone that's with Tsunade unless you address them first. Watch, I'll show you. Hey Gikian. How is your shipping business going?" he asked to an old wrinkly dark-skinned man wearing a blue uniform with shiny buttons at a nearby table. Pretty good save for the landslide at the port of Yakuranen that blocked off the port. "I tell you, the mermaids were having their way with me crew that day," the old man stated and went back to his charts that were on the table. What did he mean with that mermaid line? She whispered into his ear. "Oh, sailors have a lot of their own sayings. They are a very superstitious bunch." The way he used it meant that they were having bad luck that day, Naruto stated. A waitress came up and handed everyone menus. "What will you have to drink, young lady?" she asked directly to Hanabi. Hanabi wasn't expecting to be put on the spot but said, "Aged grape juice, please." The waitress gave the Hokage a puzzled look. "Take your weakest wine and cut it in half with water," she said to the waitress. She shrugged her shoulders and wrote it down before heading for the bartender in the dining area. "Why didn't she ask you two what you wanted?" she questioned. "Because we are regulars, she already knows what we want. I told you this is Tsunade's favorite place to come to," he said. A few moments later the waitress came back with their drinks and asked Hanabi, "What would you like this evening?" "I'll have the sampler platter," she said while pointing to the menu. "The usual for you too?" she asked Naruto and Tsunade. They both nodded their heads. The waitress turned and left. Tsunade had a big smile on her face as she uncorked the large bottle of sake and started pouring herself a shot. "Now don't get drunk, Tsunade-chan. I don't need any more rumors about me surfacing, like taking a sauced-up Hokage home always ends up doing," he stated. Tsunade gave him a playful scowl. "I'm supposed to be with Hanabi, remember?" he said as he reached his arm around Hanabi and pointed at her. "You really know how to kill a girl's fun. Fine, I'll only have one bottle tonight," she said unhappily. Soon they got their food and the waitress was gone. "So let's hear it. How did the council take the news?" Naruto asked. Tsunade wiped her mouth while still chewing on some fish she was eating before saying, "They were totally opposed to it, of course. They wanted Hanabi to renounce her heiress title or you to stop trying to pursue being Hokage. Hayashi told them that he wouldn't let Hanabi renounce her heiress duties and that she could date anyone she pleased. He told them this was a clan matter and not a council matter, which he's right about that. And that this wasn't even something for the council to stick its nose in. I reminded them that there was no way in hell that you were going to stop trying to be Hokage. Basically, they just stood there and bitched about it for 3 hours, but there's nothing they can really do at this point. Bunch of old farts caused me to get even farther behind on my paperwork, she stated in annoyance. Naruto said, "So our reputations are not smeared by what happened last night?" he asked. "I wouldn't go that far, but it's not as bad as it could have been for Hanabi. People still think you're being a playboy, even the council," she said while pouring another shot. Naruto sighed and hung his head. "Sometimes I wish I would have never dated Hinata. Her insecurities damaged my reputation so bad that even after all this time people think I'm a playboy. It's just not fair." "Hinata is the one that got you branded with that name?" Hanabi asked in surprise. "Yes, I told you she kept thinking that every girl I talked to was my girl on the side. Well, a lot of those fights happened in public. So I got branded as a playboy and the villagers never let it go," he said sourly. "Oh, I kind of wondered how you got that reputation when you've only dated 3 girls," Hanabi replied. Naruto rolled his eyes. "Now you know," he stated. "Let's move on to a more pressing issue, Naruto. Tell me what you learned of Hanabi's condition," Tsunade asked. Naruto sighed. "I'm not sure, but yes, I believe she has chakra addiction to some degree." "I figured as much. How bad do you think it is?" she asked, and Hanabi was almost offended at the way they were talking like she wasn't there. "I don't think it's that bad. I feel it's mainly an overwhelming urge for closeness for her, to be honest," he said. Let's hope that's all it is. She should be happy with the arrangement of being your pretend girlfriend then," Tsunade said, taking another bite of her fish. Naruto smiled at Hanabi and her annoyed look faded away into a shy one. "I think she's happy with it," he stated. "That's good, especially since Hayashi wants her to stay with you until this whole thing blows over," she said. Naruto rolled his eyes. "I had a feeling that was coming. Why didn't he tell me directly though?" he asked. "You probably just haven't seen him today. Can you honestly fault his logic on the matter?" she asked. "No, I can't. I'm all too aware that my home is one of the safest places in the village because of the trap jutsu's father put up around it," he said. "Would you both please stop talking like I'm not here? What is this about me staying with Naruto for a while? There is no way that my father would permit that," she said in disbelief. "He did because he knows you're safe with Naruto. No one in their right mind would try to break into his estate," she said. "Why is that?" Hanabi asked. Naruto sighed. "I guess you don't know how powerful the 4th Hokage was. I already told you about how the 3rd Hokage fought the 1st and 2nd Hokages and Orochimaru at the same time. What I didn't tell you was that he also tried to summon the 4th Hokage. The 3rd used his superior chakra reserves overpower that one part of Orochimaru's jutsu to block that summons. Remember when I asked you, who was the most powerful Hokage? He asked Hanabi. Yes, you said the next generation would be because they had the previous generation's jutsu to build on. She replied. This is true to a degree, but if you put all the Hokages in their prime in a battle against each other, there is little doubt the 4th Hokage would win, and he would win easily. This is why the 3rd Hokage blocked Orochimaru's summons of the 4th Hokage at a huge sacrifice to his chakra during their final fight. He knew he was no match for him. He knew that it didn't matter how many jutsus he knew, they were all pointless if his enemy could cut him down in an instant before he could use the first hand sign. The yellow flash jutsu I use, the one you call the pervert snuggle, is of the hardest jutsu ever created. It takes insane amounts of chakra to use time, space jumping jutsu, even by my standards, and Jiraiya told me I had more chakra than anyone he'd ever meet, even my father. I inherited my father's scroll of forbidden jutsu. It was my clan scroll after all. It was supposed to contain all the jutsus he knew, but even though it contained his yellow flash jutsu, it must be its most primitive form. Yes, I can do my father's yellow flash jutsu, but he could wipe out more than just a platoon of men with it, as the history books say. In his journal he spoke of nearly wiping out a battalion of men using it over a 2 weeks' time. In the Third Ninja War he was the most feared person ever on the battlefield, more feared than even the third Hokage himself. He is the only person that ever lived to get the rank of FOS by his enemies in the Third Ninja War. Naruto said FOS? Hanabi asked. Flee on sight. Not that it did our enemies any good to give him this title. He was so feared that he could turn the tides of battle merely by showing his face. He had a completely different outlook on how to use jutsu, and this outlook is what made him so feared. Even though he was considered a genius at using elemental jutsu, that is not the type of jutsu he ended up trying to invent himself, at least at first. Look at when I use the yellow flash, notice anything missing from it for such a powerful jutsu, Hanabi-chan? He asked. She gave him a puzzled look before saying, "And not really? Is there something missing from it?" Naruto gave her a thoughtful expression before saying, "How about hand signs, Hanabi-chan?" She blinked at him a few times before asking, "Why would that be important?" Naruto sighed. "Think about it. If you need to do 2 hand signs to make a B rank jutsu and I don't, then I will get my jutsu off faster. Which means you're going to be dodging my attacks while looking for an opening to use your jutsu. The deciding jutsu in a battle isn't always the last one, most of the time it is first one. Especially when the first jutsu is one that can easily kill you. Then it becomes a one jutsu battle." The fourth Hokage knew the one simple truth about a human body: it's actually quite weak and easily killed if you know where to hit it. He focused on 2 things in a battle: speed and precision. With my father's yellow flash jutsu and a kunai, I can kill almost anyone regardless of rank, because if they don't have time to react or move, then they're dead from a kunai through the heart. He stated. Did the fourth Hokage make any other jutsu like that? Hanabi asked. Yes, he was the only one that ever created a non-elemental A-rank jutsu, the Rasengan. To this day it's still hailed as the perfection of shape manipulation. He also created a new type of triggered unsealing jutsu. Naruto said. Why would that be useful? Hanabi asked. If I could seal a Rasengan into, say, a stone and make it to where the next person that touched the stone would unseal that jutsu. He paused to give her time to see where he was going with it. You mean the fourth Hokage put traps like that all over your estate? She asked. Yes, Hanabi, he did. Not even I know where all of them are or what they do. I do know that most of the ones on the lower outer wall are fairly mundane, like them getting slippery so you can't climb up them. There's another that blows you off the wall with a gust of wind, but the higher up you go the more deadly the trap jutsu get. One of my fangirls nearly died from a boulder trap seal when she didn't take the hint of the other jutsu she got hit with. You wouldn't believe the trap jutsu that was on the master bedroom door when I first moved in. When fighting he didn't use elemental jutsu often, but he almost exclusively used them for traps. His feelings on the matter were that if he could perform the jutsu, then seal it away, then he could call it back later in an instant, no matter how many hand seals it took to make, then jutsu, then it would make a good trap. He said. Why doesn't everyone learn sealing then if it's so useful? She asked. Well, you can't just use any paper and ink to seal something. Each type of jutsu can only be sealed with certain type of paper and ink. To put it bluntly, that special paper and ink is freaking expensive. Just one drop of the ink used to seal high-level fire jutsu cost over 200,000 yen. He said. What? That much? She stated in shock. Yes, it's that much. Otherwise you'd probably see every ninja with a scroll that had 20 fireball jutsus lined up to be fired off in rapid succession. To date, there's only been one to the legendary universal scrolls found that could seal any jutsu. You have probably seen it in action before too. He said. I have. Who has it? She questioned. Tintin has it. She didn't even know it was one of the legendary sealing scrolls until I ended up asking her if I could try sealing one of my jutsu in it. Flashback. Naruto found Tintin laying out all kinds of weapons and even rose across a training ground. Hey Tintin. Got a minute? He asked while running up to her. Damn you, Naruto. Now I've lost count and I'll have to start all over. She snapped at him. What are you doing out here anyway? He asked. I was sealing my weapons back into their scrolls for my twin dragon jutsu, but now I just wasted most of the morning because you interrupted me. She yelled at him. What? What is it? She said, crossing her arms, totally pissed off. Whoa, hold on a minute. What did I do? He asked defensively. Naruto, you don't honestly think that I can just seal my weapons in their scrolls any old way and have them come out for attack, do you? She said. You mean you can't just seal them and have them come out any way you want? He asked unknowingly. Tenten gave him the "you're an idiot" look. Of course not. You have to seal them in a very special way to have them come out the way you want them to. Otherwise, when I summon them, they will just poof out in a pile. That's not a very effective attack. Now I have to start all over laying out these weapons so I can seal them for my jutsu. She stated. I'll help you then. He said, smiling. That should put you in a better mood. I'm not sure this is even a good idea, but against my better judgment, come over here and look at this scroll. She stated with a cringe on her face. Naruto looked at the small red scroll and saw lots of tiny marks all in neat lines of different weapons. How far apart do you need them laid out? He asked. Tenten blinked a few times before cautiously saying. About 6 inches for the kunais, 8 inches for the halberds, and 7 inches swords. She eyed him intently to see what he was going to do. Naruto scratched his chin in thought while looking at the scroll she handed him. Okay, I'll have it done in a minute. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. He yelled and over 1,000 Narutos appeared. Within 4 minutes he had every weapon set out like it should be, and Tenten only had to tell him once that he was laying a weapon out wrong. She reluctantly sealed away all the weapons and was slowly going over the scroll to make sure it was right. The more she went over it, the bigger her smile got. By the time she reached the end weapon scroll, she was smiling ear to ear. If you weren't dating Ino, I'd kiss you right now, she stated. Naruto's sweat dropped. No, that's okay, Tenten. I just came to ask you a question about sealing, he said defensively with his hands out in front of him, open-palmed. Sealing? What are you trying to seal and what are you using to seal it with? She asked curiously. Naruto unceremoniously dumped 4 scrolls 10 inches long and 2 inkwells on the ground. I'm trying to see, Naruto started to say before he was cut off. Naruto, you moron. Those are writing scrolls and that's normal ink, you can't use those, she stated. Oh, that explains why I keep shredding them when I try to seal my jutsu into them, he said innocently. She put her head in her hands. What element of jutsu are you trying to seal? She asked. I guess it's wind and normal chakra, he replied. She took her head out of her hands and pulled the large tan and green scroll off her hips. Okay, this scroll can handle wind element sealing, she said while digging in her pocket and pulling out a vial of white ink. This is called cloud ink and it's not cheap, but it's not expensive compared to some of the other inks out there. Just write down the basic seal, then do the jutsu and finally seal it into the scroll, she told him. Okay, that sounds easy. Wait, if it's white ink on white paper, how will I be able to see it and know what jutsu it is later? He asked curiously. The ink changes to blue once it hits the paper, she said, already expecting this question. Oh, he said, pulling the scroll over to him to write down the seal. Tenten was looking over his shoulder as he wrote down a very complex 4-point seal in the form of a Y. Shadow clone jutsu, he yelled, and 3 clones appeared. He held out his hand while 1 clone formed the Rasengan and another clone recomposed it into its wind-released form. Tenten was covering her ears from the sound that she could only describe as metal being sheared away at an insane speed. Oh, Kami, he's not trying to seal his Rasen Shuriken. No scroll could hold that monsters of a jutsu, she thought. Rasen Shuriken seal, his clone yelled through the turret of wind and noise as Naruto slammed the jutsu into the scroll. There was a white flash that blinded them. After it was all done, the scroll was there smoking with symbol of his Raisin Shuriken in the center of the white seal formation. When Tintin came to her senses, she yelled at Naruto. "You idiot! What do you think you were trying to do? No scroll could ever hope to hold that jutsu." Naruto looked down at the seal on the scroll at his feet and gave her a puzzled look before stating, "This one did." And a flashback. "No way! What did she use your Raisin Shuriken on?" Hanabi asked. Naruto got slightly embarrassed, scratching the back of his head, and said, "Well, it seems I didn't actually seal it in the way I should have for it to be thrown, so. If she unsealed it to use it, then it would probably blow up in her face." Hanabi started giggling. "Hey, that's not funny. Tintin is still mad at me for putting my jutsu on her scroll. She says it takes up too much room near the end of her scroll," he stated. Hanabi finally stopped laughing and asked, "Were you planning on using them in battle? I thought you had plenty of chakra already." "Yeah, but I mainly wanted to give a few of them out to my friends. You know, as a just-in-case scroll if they ever got into a pinch," he said. Tsunade had finished her food and had a buzzed smile on her face before saying, "Only you would ever think to seal a jutsu like that to hand out to your friends. They likely would have killed themselves trying to use it." Naruto's embarrassed look returned. "I know I wasn't thinking right at that time. I mean, it sounded like a good idea, at first anyway," he stated. "Until you remembered you use Sage Chakra to throw it and that you use Wind Chakra to maintain it," she stated in a critical way. Hanabi spoke up a bit confused after a long pause. Am I supposed to move in with Naruto?" Tsunade laughed. No, it's just for a few days tops. I can't believe you thought your father you would want you to move in with him," she stated. "I didn't, that's why I was asking," she said, slightly relieved. "I guess we should go find your father, Hanabi-chan, and we are going to need to see Tintin so I can get another key made for my estate," he said while standing up from the table. "Why do we need to go see father?" she asked with a puzzled look on her face. Naruto gave her a critical look. "Did you forget you're my girlfriend and you're also the Hyuga clan heiress? We do have our reputations to think about. You don't think your father hasn't planned out an excuse for this that's politically acceptable?" he said. "Well, now that I think about it, of course he would have. Where is my brain today?" she thought. She gave him a shy look. "I see your point, but do I really need a key if I am only staying a few days?" she asked. "I was thinking of giving you one anyways because we are on the same team now. This is just a good reason to get one made now, but first we need to talk to your father and find out what he's planning," he replied. Hanabi stood up from the table and Naruto made one clone to stay with Tsunade. "You two don't have too much fun tonight," the Hokage teased. "Come on, Tsunade-chan, you know me better than that," he said while looking at her and summoned a clone with a knowing look. He looked right at his clone and stated, "Whatever you do, don't let her get you drunk. Just escort her home after she's done." "Naruto, I'm a bit old for a chaperone," she said, giving him a bored look. "If you pick up a nice date for the night, then I'll release my jutsu, otherwise he's here to make sure that's the only bottle for the night," he said, giving her a knowing look. "Phooey," she said, shaking the large bottle that was almost empty back and forth. "You're no fun." Naruto and Hanabi were soon out walking in the most public streets on the way back to the Hyuga compound, hold hands and not getting quite as many stares. "Looks like they are getting used to us as a couple," she whispered into his ear. Naruto whispered back, "It's a village full of ninjas, what do you expect? News travels fast. Of course, especially when you're helping it along. I still say you're showing me off," she whispered back. "And for good reason too. You seem to be enjoying it," he whispered back. "I nabbed the great sage Naruto for a boyfriend, what's your excuse?" she stated with a smile. "I'm a prankster too," he retorted with a laugh. Soon they were in the Hyuga's main living room and they were waiting for Hayashi to come down from being summoned. Naruto and Hanabi were sitting right next to each other on a white cloth love seat, still holding hands. Hayashi came down a few minutes later. "I presume you are here about the arrangement of my daughter staying with you for a few days?" he asked while he walked down the west staircase and took a seat in a black leather chair. "Yes, I am," Naruto said. "What political excuse are we going to use for this?" He got a strained expression on his face and said, "I've been so busy with my work I haven't actually thought of one." Naruto's face faltered. "You don't mean you want me to come up with an excuse, do you?" he questioned as he got up and pointed at himself. Hayashi's expression became even more strained before saying, "I had hoped you would at least have some ideas," he said hopefully. "Well, I do, but I don't know if you will like them. Stink bombs in you and Hanabi's room, and you both live with me for a few days while it clears out," he said. "That is no good, as there are plenty of extra bedrooms in the estate," he said. "You're remodeling and I offer to take you in for a few days?" he stated. "Again, we have other buildings to live in, so it is no good again," he said sternly. "The Hyuga compound is under siege from happy, walking, talking stuff bear people with strange jutsu? No, I don't think that will work either," he stated with an awkward look. "How about you're worried about my training techniques and you want to oversee my training of her for a few days?" he stated. Hayashi opened his mouth a few times like he was going to object, but never said anything. "That is actually a pretty good idea. Why are you insistent on me coming with her?" "I was just going to send her handler with her," he asked. Naruto rolled his eyes. "Because it seems like everything I do starts rumors of one kind or another. Even if Shizen is there, rumors could still surface because they are both girls. If another guy is there, especially her father, then it will likely stop most of them," he said. "I see your point, Sage Naruto. I am afraid I simply cannot go on a 3-day vacation to help stop rumors about you too," he stated. "What could you possibly need here that you wouldn't have at my estate for your work?" he mumbled loudly. "If you are referring to your library, then I must remind you it hasn't been updated in 20 years. Yes, it is very big, but it lacks any current information. The main thing that isn't at your home is my clan. This is the thing I will not have access to at your home that I need for my work," he replied. Naruto sighed. "Man, I was really hoping to get her father to come too. It would have almost killed any rumors," he thought. "Let hope that none of my fangirls figure this out or the rumors will hit an all-time high," he said, clearly unhappy about it. Hanabi gave him a questioning look and said, "Here I thought you wanted to start some rumors with the way you're dragging me through the most crowded areas showing me off." Hayashi gave him a critical look. Naruto gave her a slightly annoyed look and said, "That was to replace rumors that were even worse. Sage Naruto, I must get back to my clan duties. Please take good care of Hanabi, as you know she can be a handful at times." He turned to look at his daughter, giving her a stern look. "You be on your best behavior for your stay. This includes in public. I'll send Shizen to Naruto's house in an hour with your things," he stated. "Well, then we better hurry along then, Hanabi-chan. We still have to go see Tintin about getting a key made," he said while looking at her and standing up. "Yes, Naruto," she replied and stood up to follow him. "Good night, Lord Hyuga," he said and turned to walk away. "One last question, Sage, if you wouldn't mind?" Hayashi asked slightly curiously. "Yes, what is it?" he asked curiously. "Do you feel the need to keep up the relationship act in front of me?" he asked politely. Naruto looked down at his hand that was holding Hanabi's hand and got an awkward smile on his face. "I guess I just forgot about us holding hands. It's kind of becoming a habit over the evening." "I see," he said, slightly critical. Naruto waved goodbye to him. Naruto turned back to the door and led Hanabi back out into the village. A short while later, they arrived mid-sized stone building with a chimney that had smoke coming out of it. In front of the building was a 3 feet tall prop up a frame sign that said, Weapon Master Tintin's shop of metalworking and jutsu sealing. Naruto led her inside to a 15 feet square shop area. There were weapons all over the walls with a glass counter in front of them with more weapons in them. The ringing of a hammer on hot steel could be heard coming from the other room. Tintin wasn't at the counter, so Naruto walked up to the door next to the counter that led to her forge. "Hey Tintin!" he yelled to calling her. "Give me a minute to finish this stage of metalworking. I can't put it down until it's done or I'll ruin it." She yelled back. "Why are we coming to her to get a key made? Why don't go to a locksmith?" she asked. "Because the village doesn't have a ninja locksmith with sealing jutsu to make a copy of my estate key. Tintin can make a copy with my help," he replied. "What do you need to do to help her make it?" she asked curiously. "Mainly she just needs my blood, but I help her with the sealing so it doesn't take so long," he replied. "How many of these have you gotten made before?" she asked. "Only 2. One for Sakura-chan and one for Tsunade-chan in case of emergencies. Ino's family and the hospital have 2 of the original keys that came with the house. You're going to have to choose how you want the key made though," he said while leaning on the glass counter. "What do you mean?" she asked. "Well, Tsunade's key will crumble to dust if anyone but her tries to use it. Sakura's key turns into a tattoo mark on her forearm when she isn't using it. You need to pick one or the other for how it will be made," he said. Hanabi thought for a moment before asking, "How expensive are they to make?" "Nowhere near as expensive as that kunai I gave you, but they aren't cheap at 16,000 yen each," he said in a casual tone. "Then I don't want it turning to dust. So I'll go with the tattoo style," she said in a reserved manner. Naruto nodded his head. Soon a very soot-covered Tintin came out and got behind the counter. "How can I help you, Toda? What do you want, Naruto?" she said as her tone went from friendly to cold. "I just need a key made, Tintin. Come on, that was years ago. Can't you let it go?" he pleaded. "I only found out about it at your birthday party a few months ago, so no. I think you should have just let the guy kill you instead of breaking the second Hokage's sword." Naruto sighed and hung his head. "So you won't make the key for me then?" he asked in a defeated manner. "No, I'll make it all right, but I'm charging you extra for it this time," she huffed. "How much is extra?" he asked carefully. 50,000 yen, she stated bluntly. 50,000? That's robbery," he exclaimed. "Pay it or you get no key made, or you can get someone else to make it," she said with an angry scowl. "Oh gee, thanks Tintin. You're the only one in town that can make one. You're really giving me a lot of options." Though. "Sorry for bothering you then," he said with a respectful bow. Naruto walked back over and took Hanabi's hand. "Come on, Hanabi-chan. We will just have to share a key for a few days," he said, leading her out the door. Share! He was getting a key made for that little Hyuga girl. That couldn't be his girlfriend. Even Naruto wouldn't stoop that low to date a girl barely in her teens. There is no way the Hyuga clan head would just let a young girl like her just move in with Naruto. She cringed. Without a good reason. "I hope I didn't just mess up," she lamented. Once they were outside and down the road a bit, Hanabi bluntly stated, "What a bitch, was it that time of the month or something for her?" Naruto just stared at her in shock of her using profanity like that. "Hanabi, that's not a very nice thing to say about her," he scolded her. "Well, sorry, I just don't have a lot of nice things to say about someone that treats the village's great sage like that," she stated bluntly. I can't believe she even knew those words, let alone would say them, he thought in shock. Moody or not, she is still one of my friends. Please keep comments like that to yourself, Hanabi, he stated. Sorry, said them, but I will not take them back. What I said was true, she said stubbornly as she turned her head away in defiance. Naruto rolled his eyes, then sighed as he led her back to his house. When they arrived at the gate, they saw a giant brute of a man with ugly unkempt brown hair that went to his shoulders, wearing a black ninja outfit. His eyes were very close together and his brow stuck out, making him look very unintelligent. This might have been an imposing sight for most people if he wasn't carrying a few things. Under his right arm was a pillow in a fine white silk sham, and another pillow was under his left arm with a very girly flower pattern on it. In each hand the giant man had a suitcase. One of them was a dull faded pink and the other was a much newer one that was a light red with a single black rose on it. I never felt this person's chakra before, and it's a weird chakra at that. His posture is all wrong to be a ninja unless he's using that to throw me off. He looks pretty strong. I better be on the safe side for this, he thought. Hanabi was trying to stop giggling, and her mood suddenly changed when she saw the look in Naruto's eyes. Naruto had crouched into a springing cat-like pose and had drawn one of his cobalt blue kunais. "Who are you and what are you doing in front of my home?" His tone was sharp and threatening. Hanabi's eyes widened in horror. The big man started trembling and dropped the things he was holding. "Please don't attack. It's me, Shizen. Lord Hyuga sent me over with Hanabi's things." The big man had Shizen's voice, but Naruto did not drop his guard. "Naruto, it's Shizen, I can tell by her voice. My father wouldn't have sent her over without someone hinging her first," she stated. "A voice can be replicated," he stated. "She doesn't have Shizen Chakra's signature either." "Well, she has my pillow and my luggage," Hanabi stated, a more than a bit uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, but I can't believe you until your hinge is released and I feel your normal chakra," he stated coldly. "Naruto, just ask her something only the real Shizen would know. I don't like you in that attack pose with her as you target," she pleaded. Naruto's cold eyes never left the ugly man before asking, "What is the last picture on the right side on my mantle?" It's a picture of Hanabi sleeping on your lap from 2 days ago," the big man answered, very uncomfortable with Shizen's voice. "When is Hanabi's birthday?" he asked. "March 27th. She replied. "What is Hanabi's favorite flower?" he asked. "She likes tulips, but she has never told me that they were her favorite," she stated. "What color underwear is she wearing?" he said seriously. "She should be wearing a pair of red thong panties made of simple cotton if you haven't gotten her out of them yet." "Hey! How dare you ask me that?" she said, offended that he had gotten that out of her. Naruto's eyes never wavered from the man. "Is that last one true?" he asked Hanabi without looking at her. Hanabi went from totally scared to completely mad and embarrassed. She was blushing a dark red and was ready to punch Naruto. "Pervert! How dare you ask me that?" she huffed in offense. Shizen's hinge ran out and the poof back into her normal self, wearing an awkward and fearful look. Naruto finally eased his attack pose. "To avoid this happening again, please just come as yourself. It seems the way they hinged you messes with your chakra signature. That's a feat in and of itself," he said while he slipped his kunai back into its holster. "Yes, Sage," she said, slightly jumpy. "Naruto, why did you react that way? It was fairly obvious it was Shizen," she said. "Hanabi-chan, think about what's in my house that I'm the keeper of. I have to protect that. If someone showed up claiming to be someone you knew and you could feel their chakra was all wrong, would you be inclined to believe them so easily?" Naruto said as he walked up to the door and pulled out his key and opened it. "Well, I do agree, but I still feel your methods were too harsh," she said, like she was still unconvinced. "Sorry if you feel that way. I've just been in so much combat where little things like that matter a lot when your life is on the line," he said. "Shadow clone jutsu," he said, and 4 clones appeared and took the luggage. "Coming, Shizen?" Naruto said at the dazed older woman. She blinked a few times and said, "Yes, Sage." She walked through the door. Naruto relocked it and led them into the living room. The Naruto clones set the luggage just inside the door and they went in all directions inside the house. Once they were all seated, Naruto said, "What kind of room do you prefer, Shizen? Any room is fine. I am not very picky about it. She said quietly. Okay, then follow me. Naruto went down the east wing of the first floor. He passed his room and another door before stopping at the next door. He opened it up and held his hand out, ushering her inside. She went inside the 10 wide 15 feet long room. It was set up almost exactly like Naruto's own room. On the east wall was a desk, then there was a small bookshelf just past it. There was a queen-size bed pushed all the way up to the window with a trunk at the foot of the bed. On the west wall close to the door was a sliding bamboo double-door closet. The only thing on the walls was a lone picture scroll of a tiger standing on a rock near a stream. It's one of the few rooms that is actually clean right now. I keep it this way just in case Sakura-chan needs to stay over, he said. Yes, this is fine, Sage Naruto, she said as two of Naruto's clones brought in her luggage. He smiled at her and went back to the living room. So where do you want me to sleep? Unless you'll let me have the couch, Hanabi said hopefully. Naruto gave her a sarcastic look before saying, You already should know where your room is. He went over to the door and got her luggage and headed upstairs. Hanabi looked a bit nervous and followed him upstairs. Naruto, I'm not so sure I am going to be comfortable in that room, she stammered looking at Naruto's back. It's just a room, Hanabi-chan. Didn't you want to live in this house when you were a little girl? Now you get to stay in the master bedroom. Besides, it is the only other clean bedroom in the house. Naruto stopped and turned sideways to look at her and said, Unless you want to sleep in my singles bed with me. He gave her a mischievous grin and a flirtatious wink. Hanabi's eyes went wide. That would almost be preferable. Why can't you just let me sleep on the couch? She asked uncomfortably. What kind of host lets his guests sleep on the couch when there is 13 other bedrooms in his house? Your father would scold you for sleeping on the couch anyway, he stated as he put down the red suitcase and unlocked the large double doors at the end of the hall. Here you are. Remember, it's just a room. There's no reason to be scared of it, he said like he was talking to a child. I hate when people do that to me, she thought angrily. Naruto put her things on one of the 3 shorter dressers just inside the door. Hanabi walked into the room annoyed at Naruto's comment and plopped down on the bed. She wasn't expecting to sink almost a foot into it and she fell over backwards with her arms flailing on the bed. Oh Kami, it's like laying on a cloud. I have got to think of a way to trick him out of this bed. What am I thinking? She thought. Naruto laughed. He walked up and straddled her on the bed. He whispered right into her ear. Still think the couch is the softest thing you've ever felt now? She blushed at him. He laughed again and got off of her. Hanabi feebly tried to get up, but everywhere she placed her hands on the bed sunk in almost a foot. She finally gave up and awkwardly slid off the bed with Naruto laughing at her. So how do you like the fluff monster? He said while smiling at her. It's hard to get out of, but it is softest thing I've ever felt, she said, clearly still annoyed at him. Yeah, it takes some getting used to. You need to roll out to the edge and sit up just using your back to get out of it, he said. Leave it to you to have a bed that you need directions, just sleep on. What is it made out of? She said. It's made out of some kind of feathers that look more like fur from a bird in a far-off land, he said. I'll leave you to unpack. I need to go change some of the trap jutsus around the house to make them less deadly, he said with a thoughtful look. He went out and closed the door behind him. Naruto went back downstairs and went to the 3rd door on the left side of the east wing. He knocked a few times and waited for a reply. Come in, Hanabi, she said. It's Naruto Shizen, he said respectfully. Please give me a moment then, Sage, she replied. Naruto waited for a few moments before she said, Please enter. Naruto opened the door and it seems that Shizen had just put her clothes in the closet and shut it as her faded suitcase was empty on the floor. What did you need, Sage? She asked politely. I just wanted to apologize for what happened at the gate earlier. I've seen a lot of combat and my habits sometimes get the better of me in these peaceful times," he said with a slight bow. Shizen's eyes widened slightly at his actions. "It made me very scared when you did that, but I understand that the war with the Akatsuki left you with some scars. I take no offense to your actions, great sage," she said respectfully. "Still, I wanted you to know. Also, please don't touch the things in my house. Many of them are trapped. There are no traps in the kitchen or in the library down the hall or the one in the same place on the second floor. So feel free to read if you get bored. I will keep a clone in the kitchen if you need anything. Also, there are no traps in the bathroom across the hall or this bedroom," he added almost as an afterthought. "Yes, Sage Naruto," she replied. "Good night, I'll be stepping out to do my nightly training," he said with a nod. "Good night," she said.
That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.